Ada, my dad crashed my car and my parents won't let me use theirs. I, 21M, have been living at my parents' house due to recent life events. We have a pretty good relationship, but of course we have our moments. Well, about a week ago, my mom was at work and my dad needed to run by the store. He couldn't wait until mom got back, so he asked to borrow my car. I agreed to let him have it as I didn't have anything Jay needed to do right then. Well, about 40 minutes later I get a call from him saying he had been in an accident. Of course that scared the shit out of me and I made sure he was okay first. He said he was fine and explained the accident. Long story short, he ran a stop sign and smacked straight ahead into another vehicle. Luckily, no one got seriously injured. Except my car. It's busted up pretty bad. Without going into much detail, the bumper, headlights, hood, and parts of the engine are messed up. I got my car in the shop and I'm still waiting on the estimated time it will take for me to get it back. Until then though, I need a car to get to and from work. And that's where the problem is. See, me and my mom have different work schedules but similar enough to where I could see us working something out. She usually goes in an hour earlier than me and gets off about 30 minutes before me. I figured I could drop her off, go to work, then pick her up. Well, my mom hates that idea. She says that she doesn't want to have to rely on me to pick her up or get her to work on time. She said since she wasn't involved in the accident she shouldn't be affected by the consequences. I told her it would just be until I got my car back, but she didn't care. I was expecting Dad to back me up, seeing as he's the reason I got into this mess. But instead he just agreed with her and said I should find a different way. The problem is, there is no different way. There's no good public transportation system in our town and we live about 45 minutes away from where I work. My dad then suggested I bike to work, which I quickly shut down. I'd rather not have to bike all the way to and from work every day when we could literally just share a car. I told them it was unfair for them not to let me use their car since Dad crashed mine. Then they said I was just being ungrateful as they were already putting a roof over my head and I shouldn't expect much more from them. I have no idea where they even thought I was being ungrateful. All I'm saying is, why would I choose a harder, more time-consuming way to work when there is an easier option? Am I being unreasonable? I feel like at the least Dad could convince Mom to let me use their car since this is his fault. But instead, he's just sitting there agreeing with everything she says. I would ask my siblings to chime in on this, but knowing them they'll just agree with my parents. So Ada, TLDR, my dad crashed my car. It's in the shop for I don't know how long. I need a way to get to and from work. My mom is refusing to let me use their car. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA. Your mom's objection is that she doesn't want to rely on you to get her to work on time. Ask her to take you to work and pick you up. Yes, you'll be inconvenienced by the earlier arrival time, but you will have arrived at work without having to take public transportation or ride a bike. Maybe you can start earlier and finish earlier, at least for the short term. Failing that, honestly, your father needs to own his errors here. He wrecked your car, he needs to get you to work while your car is being repaired. Maybe he's got a friend who owes him a big favor. Maybe one of your siblings can do him the favor of loaning you a car. Maybe he can come out of his pocket to pay for Ubers or a rental. You have grounds to sue him, as he has created a problem that is impacting your ability to work. A court case is the nuclear option, though, and I wouldn't drop that bomb until I was already out of their house. Reply, I brought up the idea of her dropping me off and picking me up. She says it will mess up her schedule and that she doesn't want to wake up any earlier than she has to. I feel like she's just unwilling to even try to share the car. Commenter 2, this is a tough one. Dad should obviously step up and take care of this. Why isn't the insurance covering a rental while yours is in the shop? Are you living rent-free at your parents'? NTA. Reply, I'm allowed to live with them rent-free as long as I'm saving money in order to move out again. I do buy my own groceries and help with bills though. So it's not like I'm totally living off of them. As far as the rental car goes, apparently that's not something I chose to add to my plan. So something stupid on my part. Update 1. Ada, my parents kicked me out the house with no warning. For a little backstory, I've, 21M, had been living with my parents due to some recent life events. About a month ago I made a post here talking about how my dad crashed my car and my mom refused to let me use theirs for my commute to work. Long story short, my parents ended up paying for the expenses to have my car fixed. We did also end up sharing a car until I had mine's back. After that I thought it was done and over. My mom made a comment about it here and there, but it didn't seem to seriously bother her. Until about a week and a half ago. She demanded that I pay them all the money from my car expenses back. She said it wasn't fair she lost money to an accident she didn't cause. And I think that's fair, but I reminded her that I didn't cause it either. Dad caused the accident and I told her I'm sorry that it ended up affecting her as well. But that didn't change the fact my car had to be fixed and it was Dad's responsibility. She got really mad at that and started on a rant about how it was unfair and I was using them for money. And what was my dad's response to all this? He just agreed with her. I ended up just telling her what I've already said because there was honestly nothing else to say. She's been very upset with me since then. But she never mentioned any possibility of kicking me out. So imagine my surprise a couple days ago when I came home to all of my stuff being outside of the house in boxes. Literally on the curb. I was honestly shocked, and mad, about this, and I immediately went in the house to question my parents about this. My mom said that she was tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. My dad just repeated what my mom said but in a kinder way because I guess he thought she was being harsh. I couldn't believe it. I asked her to explain how I have been being ungrateful and she responded by basically saying we raised you. We went back and forth for a bit and we were both pretty mad at each other. Then my mom told me to leave the house or else she would call the police on me. I have no idea if anything actually would have came of that situation. But at that point I was so confused and angry that I just went outside and called around to find someone I was able to stay with. I ended up sleeping at a friend's house. It's been a couple days now and siblings have both been calling me. I guess my parents must have told them what happened. I'm assuming it was specifically my mom bad talking me to them. My sister agrees with my mom and says I should have just paid the money back. My brother agrees that it was unfair for them to kick me out, but also says I should have just paid the money back. My dad has also been trying to reach me, but honestly I've just been too mad to pick up the phone for him. I'm just so shocked by the whole situation. I wouldn't say me and my parents' relationship has always been easy street, but it's never been this bad. I honestly thought we were good until all this. The worst part is I was planning to move out and rent an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in 2 months. My parents knew that and still decided to do this. I'm just so confused and I don't understand where they're coming from. I get they raised me and took care of me and all that, but I just feel like that doesn't give them the right to do this all of a sudden. I don't think I did anything wrong. So honestly Aita, in this situation, commenter 1, you're not responsible for the accident, so there's no way you're responsible for the money. It's fine if they want you out, but that's not the way to do it. Do your best, find a place, live your life. When they come crawling back, tell them to fuck off. Warn your siblings they'll probably do the same to them. Reply, I probably should have said this in the post but my siblings are older than me. My sister's in her late 20s and my brother's in his early 30s. They're already well off and out of the house. I honestly think that's another point of tension with my mom because right now in her own words I'm the only one of her kids that is failing at life. Update 2. Some things have happened since my last post. I calmed down a bit and decided to finally answer one of my dad's calls. He started talking about how afraid he was that I was never going to talk to them again. Then he said that things weren't supposed to go that way the other day and apologized for mom putting my stuff outside. Apparently the plan was to talk to me about it first but he said mom got caught up in her emotions. When I asked why he didn't step in, he said it was because he didn't want to upset her anymore. I didn't really want to accept that excuse but I took it so we could move forward. That was until I got another call from my brother. Mom's been absolutely shit talking me to him and my sister. Apparently she kept comparing me to them and how good they're doing, mind you they're both older than me by several years. Then she went on a rant about how much harder it's been to raise me compared to them. At one point he says she even insinuated that I was a mistake. Though he says to take that with a grain of salt as she didn't outright say it. My brother was uncomfortable with listening to her talk about me so harshly and he decided to call and tell me. I'm feeling a mix of emotions about all this right now. Part of me is still mad about the whole suddenly kicking me out thing. But I'm mostly just sad about it all. Knowing that my mom is saying all this stuff behind my back only makes me think she really means it. And whether she outright said it or not, hearing that she thinks I'm a mistake honestly crushed my soul. I don't understand why still but I guess she has her reasons. I don't really want to talk to her again, but I do really want to know the truth of why she feels this way about me. I'm not sure about Dad yet. I'm not the type to cut people off and having to do it to one person is already too much for me. I'm still staying with my friend as of now until I figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'll see how it goes from here. TLDR, my dad called and apologized. My mom told my siblings I was a mistake while shit talking me. I'm still trying to figure things out. Update 3. So a lot more has happened over the last few days. First I went back home the other day to grab some important things I needed. I waited to go back over there until I knew my mom would be at work and tried to make it quick because I didn't particularly want to see my dad either. While I was in there I did tell him what mom had said about me. He did seem shocked she would say that to me or my siblings. But when I asked if this is the first time she's ever said that, he admitted that she's told him that more than a few times. When asked if he knew why, he just told me she has her reasons but they're not my fault. I tried to get him to explain more but that's really as far as he would go. I don't really know how I should feel about that but I just went with it. I asked if that's how he felt about me too. He said it's not and that he loves me. It hasn't really felt like that's true and I wanted to say that to him, but I just ended up saying okay. I told him I'm cutting mom completely off and him too for now. After that I took my stuff and left. Fast forward to a couple days ago. I got a very angry series of messages from my sister about how horrible I am for turning our brother against our mom. She said I made mom cry and that I should be ashamed of myself. Needless to say I had no idea what she was talking about. As far as I knew my brother wasn't against anyone in this situation so I was just confused. I tried to ask her to explain but I should know by now that I never get an answer from that. So instead I called my brother to ask him directly. Apparently mom found out that I knew about what she said, I'm assuming dad told her. Then she called my brother and screamed at him for going behind her back and telling me. To which he responded that she was the only one saying things behind people's backs and that she was being unreasonably mean to me for no real reason. He told her she should get her priorities straight and go yell at dad for causing this whole thing. Then he told her not to call him again if all she was going to do was yell about someone or something. I honestly wasn't expecting that from my brother. He's not the type to step into conflict if he doesn't have to. But obviously her yelling at him set him off. I'm not trying to say I'm happy she did that, but I am happy my brother responded the way he did. Obviously she cares more about what he thinks than she does me. I told my brother about what dad says and he agrees his response feels weird. I asked if he possibly knows why since he's a bit older than me but he's just as shocked about this all as I am. He also said he would talk to my sister about everything and get her to back off. So now I'm waiting to see how things go with that. Like I said before I'm not the type to cut people off but if my mom is just going to use my sister to talk to me I'm going to block her too. Also as far as housing goes, I decided to take my friend up on his offer and stay until my other friend's lease is up. That's the update for now. Tldr, tried to ask my dad if he knew why my mom was saying this stuff. He just kind of danced around the answer. My mom got mad at my brother for telling me what she said, and he surprisingly stood up to her. Commenter 1, I'd be doing a DNA test if I were you. Something is fishy. Commenter 2, this whole situation is so odd. In your past post you said you believe your father is biological father but what about your mother, is she your biological mother? Reply, honestly ick at this point. I don't understand why they're being so cryptic about it. I will say I feel like I can see some of my mom's features on me but I guess that may not mean anything. Commenter 3, LOL I'm so confused. Do you have baby pictures with your mom in the hospital or like recently pregnant with you shortly after you were born? I get the logistics behind one being unsure of paternal lineage but maternal lineage. Reply, you know, I'm sure there probably are. I've just never seen them. I really doubt they're not my parents honestly. It's just my dad's response made it all seem weirder. Stories number 2. Aita for telling my niece that either she gets over not being invited to my wedding or she can forget coming over anymore. About 3 years ago, my husband Roy and I got married among a small group, 20 of the people closest to us. This did not include anyone under the age of 21. My niece was 16 at the time and she is the one who threw the biggest fit over it. And she hasn't stopped throwing the fit since then. She brings it up at every chance she gets, whining and complaining about how she was purposely left out of a big family event and how she has trauma from being excluded. She made up this whole story about how she was looking forward to it for years and how deeply she felt not being invited, like it was a complete rejection of her as a human being. Roy and I were together for a year before we got married, yeah I know, but it's working out for us. Look, I get that it might have hurt her feelings to not be able to come. Most of the family didn't come. But to claim that she has trauma over a fucking wedding invitation is ridiculous. This wasn't a week-long vacation where the entire family gathered together for hours of bonding every day. It was a 4-hour event, but I've finally had enough of her whining over it. She brought it up again when she was over a few weeks ago. She mentioned how her friends went somewhere without her because she had another obligation and she touched her chest and said how much it hurt her abandonment trauma and gave me a pointed look. At that point, I said, it's been 3 years, Madison, you need to get over it. You were 16, it was a small group, nobody abandoned you. If you can't get over it and find a way to move on, why do you keep coming over here? I'm sick of hearing you complaining about it every chance you get. She got upset and said that it was one of the most traumatic experiences of her life because it destroyed her innocence and made her have to grapple with the idea that family wouldn't always be there for her. I just rolled my eyes and said, whatever, either get over it or don't come over here again. You bring it up again and you're gone. She turned on the fucking waterworks and started crying about how I was so cruel and how she can't believe that she's being completely rejected by her own family and how she doesn't have a support system. For the record, her mom and dad are happily married and she is constantly surrounded by family and friends. Aita. Stories number 3. AIO for threatening to take my sister to court after her toddler destroyed my $2,000 gaming setup because she said I should have baby-proofed my apartment. I'm F25 and I'm honestly at my breaking point with this one. I need outside perspective because my entire family is acting like I'm Hitler for standing my ground. So, I, 25F, am a student software developer and a pretty serious PC gamer in my free time. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment that I've spent years making cozy and functional. I saved up for a long time to build my dream PC setup, triple monitors, custom mechanical keyboard, ergonomic chair, the works. Altogether, my rig is worth a bit over $2,000, and I take care of it like it's a damn child. Last weekend, my older sister, 30F, asked if she could crash at my place for one night because her apartment was being fumigated, and her husband was out of town. She has a 3-year-old son, Max, who's, let's say, spirited. I love him, but he's a little chaos goblin. I hesitated, but she swore she'd keep an eye on him and that it'd just be for one night. They show up Saturday afternoon, and immediately it's clear she wasn't kidding about Max being a handful. Within 10 minutes of arriving, he'd pulled 4 books off my shelf, thrown my houseplants on the floor, and spilled juice on my area rug. I tried to stay chill. He's 3, I get it, but I asked my sister politely to please keep him out of my office, where my PC setup is. She rolls her eyes and goes, he's just exploring, he's curious, it's normal. But she closes the office door anyway. Cut to Sunday morning. I wake up to screaming. Max had apparently woken up before his mom, managed to open the office door, and decided my setup was his new jungle gym. He pulled down one of my monitors, cracking the screen. He stuck crackers into the PC tower's ventilation slots, I'm not kidding, yanked out my keyboard's keycaps, and had colored on my chair with permanent marker. The cherry on top. He poured apple juice into the tower. Into it. When I tell you I went silent. I mean dead silent. My sister comes in, sees the damage, and just says, "Oh no," in this incredibly flat tone, like someone knocked over a cup of coffee. I start freaking out, and she has the audacity to say, "You should have baby-proofed the room if it was that important to you." I lost it. I told her that 1, she knew he wasn't supposed to be in there, 2, this is my space, not a damn daycare, and 3, baby-proofing a $2,000 gaming setup is not a standard requirement for adults living alone. She told me to calm down and said that he's just a kid, and stuff is replaceable. I told her she could replace it then. She said she didn't have the money right now, but maybe in a few months she could give me a few hundred. I told her that wasn't acceptable and that she needed to take full responsibility. She left in a huff and now my whole family is blowing up my phone. My mom says I'm being materialistic and should understand that my nephew didn't mean it. My dad said I should have locked the door if it was that important. My brother actually said, "Why do you even need 3 monitors anyway? That's kind of overkill." I filed a claim with my insurance but there's no guarantee it'll be covered since it was technically guest damage. I also told her that if she does not pay up, I'll take her to court for what happened. Now I'm getting texts from my sister demanding an apology for blaming her kid for being curious. I told her I'd drop it if she covered the cost of repairs and replacements or at least met me halfway and she blocked me. So, am I overreacting if I take my sister to court over this? Update. About 4 hours later. Wow. Just wow. 4 hours later, I wake up from my nap to this. Thank you guys, it'll take a bit for me to read all of this. My sister still has not unblocked me, but her husband reached out to find out what happened. I'm sorry I don't have more to tell yet, but I'll update again when I do. Seriously, thanks for the insights everyone. My head is a lot clearer now. Update 2. Hey, all, my sister's husband reached out as mentioned earlier, and we're working out a solution if possible. He's been really understanding, as have all of you. Also, to clarify the office situation, my 1-bedroom apartment is on the smaller side, 33 square meters 355 square feet, so the landlord converted an old ex-clothes cabinet into a makeshift office. It's weird, but the building is from the 40s, and they had to get creative with the space with an old tenant or something. So it's living room, sister and her kid slept there, plus kitchen, I slept there, plus the office. Thanks for all the support. And the award. I really don't have the words for how nice people have been in both DMs and the comments. Comments. About going no contact with the whole family for taking sister's side. I'm not ready to go full no contact right now, but I really appreciate your perspective. It's definitely something I'll keep in mind if things keep escalating and no one starts showing even a little respect for my boundaries. I just want accountability, not drama. But if they keep pushing, I won't hesitate to step back. I don't think I want to know my family if they can't appreciate the work I put into my hobbies. As a bit of an update, my sister's husband actually reached out to me privately earlier and said he wants to figure something out. He didn't know the full extent of what happened, he suspected my sister lied to him and he seemed genuinely sorry. That gives me a little hope. Part of what's made this so frustrating is that I work as a janitor, part-time too, and don't make a lot. I saved for years to build that setup and it's not even a year old yet. Seeing it treated like it's no big deal by my family members who know how much I struggle, has been honestly disheartening. Your advice about collecting evidence and presenting it calmly is something I'll definitely do. Just knowing I have a game plan and options helps a lot. Thank you. The office is a converted clothes closet. The apartment's from the 40s and has a weird layout. There's no lock on the door is just a heavy old one. TBH, I've been wondering if my sister might have opened it for him. I just don't get why. 2. The crackers and juice weren't mine, sister brought them. I had no idea he had access to them during the night until after the fact. 3. I didn't get much notice. I saw her message around 10 a.m. Saturday, and they arrived around 2 p.m. My place was a mess, so I spent most of that time cleaning before they came by. In hindsight, yeah, I should have been more cautious with my setup, but it didn't even cross my mind that anything like this would happen as I thought the office area was inaccessible to him. What he did pull off of the shelves was moved higher up and out of reach and in an area where he could be kept an eye on. Somebody said she should have put her setup away before they came over as part of cleaning. Are you my sister? You're really sounding like my sister. Unblock me if you are, but just in case. I'm not talking about tidying up, as in a few cans of this and that. My apartment was a mess. I don't live in a clinically ready space that can just be handed to a relative and a toddler on a short notice. That 4 hours included making breakfast, cleaning, doom scrolling and bringing out the trash. I don't understand this comment. Is it because I'm a janitor and should be quicker or something? Update. Just wanted to post a quick update since it's been a little under a week and a few people asked what happened next. Things are better, pretty fucking weird, and still ongoing, but here's where we're at. Last Saturday, my brother-in-law, BL, came over to check out the damage himself. He actually brought Max, Toddler, with him, which I was almost livid about at first, but he had a reason. He asked Max to try opening the office closet door. The kid couldn't do it. The door was too heavy for him. You probably can guess where this is going. BIL offered to take my PC to the store that originally built it for me, just to see what was fixable. I agreed, but asked for something in writing just so I had some peace of mind. We put together a little agreement that he'd be responsible for it while it was with him. Yeah, it was just a formality and would not hold much merit anywhere, but it helped me feel a bit more in control. On Monday, he dropped it off at the shop and gave them my number so they could keep me updated. He also told me he confronted my sister about how things played out. I sent him my original Reddit post too. He read the comments and apparently showed them to her. She still hasn't unblocked me, and from what I've heard, was not happy about the fact my BIL is actually listening to me. I also shared the post and some comments with my parents and brother since no one really believed me before. My parents still don't fully get it, but they've at least stopped pushing back. My brother is more understanding now, though for some reason he mostly wanted to talk about how many people saw the post. I don't think either of those three still care, really, and I'm fine if they see this. Do better. Anyway, I went to see the PC today, Wednesday here. The shop said it's mostly salvageable. It needs a very careful internal clean and a few fans replaced, and some wiring fixed, but overall the main parts survived somehow. BL told me he'll cover the cost of the repair, no hesitation. When I brought up what my sister said about not being able to pay even $200, he said she's lying. He also said he's not sure Max actually did all the damage. He thinks the door was left open on purpose, or that my sister might have even done some of it herself. Based on the height of the tower and where the crackers ended up, it didn't quite add up to a toddler acting alone. Apparently, she's been telling him I have a gambling addiction. I did get a bit hooked on Genshin like 4 years ago I guess, and that maybe this whole thing will wake me up, which is new. She used to be supportive or at least indifferent. No idea where that switch came from, so yeah. That's where we're at. My PC is being cleaned up and fixed, and BAL is covering the cost. Sister still has me blocked and won't talk to me. Still tempted to start something with her TBH, especially if she actually did all of this on purpose. Still not ruling out small claims court depending on how things go. Thanks again to everyone who responded to the original post. Seeing how many people understood what happened really helped me hold the line with my family when I felt like I was losing my mind. One thing I've been turning over in my head lately is what if my sister did do something to my setup on purpose? I don't want to believe that, it feels like a stretch, but the more I think about it, the less so, I guess. But then I remember how she acted when I asked her to keep Max out of the office. The eye roll and the "he's just curious" comments like she didn't take any of it seriously. And now hearing from my BL that she's been saying I have a crippling gambling gaming whatever addiction and needed to grow up, it's just weird. She used to be cool about it. Never super into games herself, but she got that it was important to me. If something changed, I don't know when or why. And if this was some weird way to make a point or teach me a lesson, that's messed up. You're not our mom. How about talking first instead of this? I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the more I think about it, the less it makes sense that Max could have done all of that alone. It's sick if she blamed her own son for it, so yeah. Not accusing anyone outright, but that thought is there now, and if you're my sister reading this, which I'm guessing you are, because I bet you'd love to look at the comments that are on your side a lot, I don't know why you blocked me. I don't know what shifted in your head about all this. But if you actually had anything to do with damaging my setup, whether it was on purpose or just through complete carelessness. Fuck. You. You know I worked hard for that. You know what that rig meant to me, and you know I would never do something like this to your stuff. And if Max really did all of it on his own, I hope you're paying closer attention now. Not for my sake, but for his. Read the comments on my first post again, from other parents and people with younger siblings who clearly know better than you. That's all. Thanks for reading, those who did. Comments. People said it was suspicious. BL immediately took OOP's side and probably A, knows more than he lets on, and B, his wife did more on other fronts, so he knows what she is capable of. TBH, it sucks to admit, but I think you're spot on. BIL is a very calm, happy person, but he seemed more resigned than anything when we met last weekend in ITK. I get asking about it might not be my place, but I'm worried. My chair is okay, the cushion, legs and back are stained with red permanent marker, but I've learned to live with it. Co-workers and I are trying to find a chemical to fix the situation on the cushions, but an ethanol solution, small amounts, I don't want to ruin the chair further, has slowly been working at cleaning the other parts. Being a janitor does have its perks. Keyboard I could not find all of the keycaps that were pulled off. I replaced the missing ones with an old keyboard's ones, both mechanical, so it's a bit awkward but it works for now. I might get custom ones for it if I find some that fit. The cracked monitor on the other hand needs to be replaced. I guess calling it cracked was a kindness in itself. Still got the other two left, and at least it wasn't the most expensive one, but yeah. What sister told the defending family my sister was talking incredible smack about me to them, making it seem like I screamed at her child over a minor mistake. I'll admit, during COVID, I did spend $300 on Ganyu when she came out, but that was the worst of it. And it was so worth it. I don't play much anymore, mostly stuck on Marvel Rivals right now, but the overall margin from Genshin release to this day I've spent under $600. I get it, even that might look crazy to people who don't play video games, but sheesh. Gambling addiction. She should be more concerned of what I spend on Pokemon packs in this economy, if she's gotta be concerned over something. We are waiting to see if my sister confesses to anything. If so, she will be paying out of her own pocket, and paying back, not my bail. If she confesses and refuses, then, well, the computer is essential, but the keyboard works and I still have 2 monitors. That's why I am willing to wait for the other damage to be solved. Stories number 4. Aita for telling my sister nobody was surprised when her kid said he did not care she was alive or not. I come from a big family. We are 5 siblings, 2 sets of twins, 50F, my sister, her twin died in utero, 47M, me and my brother, 42F, my other 2 sisters. We are taking about our biggest one. My parents were really careful to not parentify him, editor's note, language barrier here, OOP means her, as in the oldest sister, because they both had the same fate in their family. They took good care of us, all of us have fruitful and satisfying careers. The problem is, at least for my sister, they didn't push us there. They encouraged but they never had the expectation. This was a problem for my biggest sister. She always found them lazy and unmotivated, and she limited contact with us after she graduated law school. She has become a really successful lawyer, married to a renowned surgeon, who is my friend from medical school, a really ambitious guy who is also a real OCD, and had his son at age 32 via IVF. It was all planned. After she had her son, aka my nephew, she started to push him really hard. She was trying to make him read at age 2, she sent him to piano lessons from age 4 and had one-to-one tutors since he was first grade. He was never allowed to have free time and every moment of his life was curated. The only time slot he had was Saturday afternoon and where he would visit my parents and we always planned events and free time for him. His teenage years was absolute hell. He was forced beyond his capacities by my sister and BIL, and when he was 16, he tried to commit suicide at the hospital BIL works at by stealing benzo from the nurse counter. After that, he had a good time in the inpatient ward, 5 months in ward, 3 months in a group home, and after that, he wanted to stay with me. I am the only one from my siblings who does not have a kid and I live with my husband in a 3-store villa so he can have the roof to himself. BIL had an awakening and he divorced my sister after this. Him and nephew had a year of family therapy and last summer he moved in back with BIL and he also decided to pursue medicine. I don't live in US, medical school starts directly after high school and it is 6 years. During that time, my sister really dug into her heels. She blamed us and my BL for letting him to be weak. She said he was alive and he had to endure this so he could become resilient and untouchable. She said in the court, I don't care, he feels bad, this is life, you either climb the ladder or you fall down. If he fell down there is nothing we can do, life goes on. I never saw someone to look with pure anger like the head judge and he said, you are a really successful lawyer, I should give you that, but you are really a terrible person and a being that can't be called a parent, and turned to my BL and said, you need help, a lot of help. Last January, my sister had a mini stroke, TIA, and she genuinely started to think about her life as I understood from my brother, who is the only one of us that checks up on her, and last week, she tried to reach to my nephew but he directly said he did not care if she was alive or not. When she tried to talk to me about that I briefly said, what were you expecting sis, and closed the call. Now all of the family calls me an AH and they think I should have supported her. Some of OOP's comments. To a now deleted comment. I do remember how her fellow lawyers talked about her after this and she was very heavily criticized. I have some high school buddies who are lawyers and they had very juicy gossip about her. She is one of the lawyers they call Haifisch in German. She is known for his relentless ambition, an almost pathological hunger for dominance. Commenter, growing up with her as a sibling must have been fun. Reply, she did not interact with us much so I can say she wasn't a big problem for us. She was a problem for our parents though. I remember her yelling at them for not sending her to the boarding school because they thought it had a really unhealthy school culture. I wonder sometimes if they have sent her to school, she would have woken up way earlier. Commenter, NTA. Your poor nephew. He never got to have a childhood. He only got to be a kid for a few hours a week, and the rest was spent constantly working. His home life was so horrible that a fucking inpatient ward was a good time for him. OP, your sister is the devil. I hate her on your son's behalf. She's evil. Honestly, your BIL is incredibly lucky that his son gave him another chance because he's just as guilty for standing aside. Reply, my BL only knew hard work and grinding and I don't blame him. He was and still is one of the best cardiac surgeons in my area and I work with him at the same hospital. He is a really good guy at heart and came from a really poor family. I got him and his son saw him from a really different light when my sister wasn't in the picture. Life is complicated. Commenter, do you think he was also victimized by your sister? Reply, to a degree, yes. My sister calculated her marriage with him at a precision. At divorce hearings when she was asked about her marriage she said it was calculated to maximize the benefits of being married with another person and just saw it as a step in the right direction. The divorce. I think she saw them as dead weight and wanted to be free as soon as possible when Bale sided with my nephew. It is really hard to understand what my sister's logic is. Commenter, I don't know if you've already described it, but can you tell us about your parents' parenting style, philosophy, and methods to the madness? I am prompted to get any help I can as I have a young daughter that is a bit of a meanie and not one that likes to take advice. By the way, you're not the AH. I think you think it was a long time coming. Reply, they were heavy on natural consequences and being tolerant to others. Work and general ethics has always been important for them and they always relied the message of collaboration and cooperation. They also really emphasized on the need of relaxation and self-care too. My father and mother are also in the healthcare field, although they got retired when I was in residency, and they saw too many burnouts. Commenter, I'm really confused about the family dynamic established by your parents. Your first paragraph is extremely unclear. Did they create this precedence of pushing you all into high-powered careers? Reply, honestly no. I chose medicine but I really liked it. My brother became a welder because he didn't have a thing for academics. My younger two sisters are preschool teachers, one in special education field. Honestly they are really chill people. Update. My brother had a talk with her. He laid down all the stuff I told here and made her read this post. To our surprise, she knew about Reddit. When she asked about what to do about it, he said she should be working on herself and maybe be in peace with the fact she will die alone in a care home. He said she was looking really defeated, but she got why she was abandoned by the family. She will leave the town for transferring her office to another state because she said to me it was too much pain for her. Again, egocentric perspective, but she will leave, at least. She is leaving next Monday. My nephew said she wants to look at her eyes one last time before leaving, so he will meet her at Saturday afternoon at my brother's house. Update post, April 4, 2025, 2 days later, 4 from OG post. Good morning from the Grey City of Cologne. I have an update, and after 24 hours to answer people's questions, I will log out from this account because I think it is over. Also, Reddit is really overstimulating for a guy who is in their second half of their 40s. First of all, my family does not blame me for her situation, they think I was an asshole for not listening to her. They apologized after seeing the post though. All is well, we communicated. I also apologized for being too rough on them. My sister is another story. Last night, we went to the house of my brother and Sal. She was there, sitting with no expression, just a dull face. When my nephew greeted her, she just said, "Hello, son," with a really neutral voice, scary even. She looked at him after 5 minutes of silence and said, "I failed you to raise, I gave you so much pain and I almost caused your life. For that, I am sorry. I am sorry for not realizing it sooner. At Monday, I will be leaving your lives and I will not ever come back. Just want you to know that I did what I thought was best. I understand now it wasn't." My nephew looked at him and said, "I unfortunately know. I know and see you still believe that we have to move on. I will move on, mother, but without you. I will move with the people who loved me, not with someone who sees me as a training dog. Farewell, mother," and he gestured with his head that he wants to go. I looked at my sister and said, "Bye sis, I hope you find peace with your new life." She silently nodded and we left. My brother and Sal told me that she will legally separate her ties with us in every way possible. They are helping her to do that, and Sal said, "We need this and she needs this. Us being separate will be much better for all of us." Not a big ending, but it is an ending to this. My parents and her had a talk at Friday and they realized the wounds are too big and painful to heal together. Not an happy ending, but at least it ended. Thanks for all for reading. I also took note of your recommendations and I will be applying them. Last note, dear all, I took your concerns and had a phone call with her. I talked with her and she does not have an ounce of it. She said she does not want to come that close to death ever again. She is currently preparing for her new life and she is just like herself, stoic, ready for new horizons and leaving her old life behind. I am also a doctor and I had my fair share of suicidal patients. She is fine, but also thanks for your concerns about her. Honestly, I don't care anymore what is happening to her. My parents care about her death, and this is enough for me. Goodbye. Top comment. Commenter 1, German lady here. 48 aka same age as OP and his siblings. To be honest, I was not surprised either, reading that this is a story happening in Germany. Our parents' generation is sadly a terrible one, and it's only partly their fault. They were born either in WW2 or shortly after. To war-traumatized parents that were part of one of the biggest crimes in human history and came from a nation of perpetrators of the Holocaust. Our parents' generation was raised in silence, suppressed emotions, need to function and total lack of empathy. There is a huge emotional atrophy in our parents' generation that has bleed into our generation. They grew up in the need to function and achieve to be worth anything, building from the ruins, guilt and horrors of a war caused by their parents. My generation is full of emotionally stunned people that don't know how to build connection with their children beyond function and making them to achieve something. Some did the emotional work or had therapy to heal, most have not or are just starting to now in their 40s or 50s. And our children have suffered for it. I see it in my own family and in myself. I was the kid in the late 80s 90s suffering from depression and addiction. And I still work on myself in therapy. Never got kids, BC. I was aware of my trauma and me not being able to provide emotionally for myself, and definitely not any children. Through all of this I finished university and functioned my ass off and am career-wise the most successful of my siblings. They all got married and had children. These children are the third generation after the WW2 generation, and guess what, mental health is bad. I have an 18-year niece with major depression, anxiety and emotionally not her age. My brother and his wife did not do the emotional work they should have done, to deal with their trauma inflicted by our parents. The difference is that my nieces and nephews have A, me and B, my sister has done the work, her kids are better off. My point is, OP's sister is not an exception. She might be an extreme, but there are thousands of stories like this or similar in Germany and it's not talked about enough and mental health resources are not enough. I believe this goes back to even before the WW2 generation. This is the trauma war brings to humans. For generations. And the human race has not learned anything and did not have time to heal. BC it not just affects Germans. We are walking right back into it. Reply, I only sing operatically in German so my day-to-day German is absolute shit. The interesting thing is, my parents are both pharmacists and, before having children, pursued professional and personal growth in the 1960s. They were born in 1949 and had my sister in 1974. At the time, my mother was actively working as a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry, in the field of psychiatric medications. This makes the whole thing all the more incomprehensible to me. Sum of comments. No one speaks like you do in the modern era. Reply, my main language is not English, in German we do speak like this. Commenter, as another person from Germany, I agree. To someone else. Reply, I attended a humanistic high school where German classes, especially literature, played a central role. My exposure to German literature was intense and formative. At the same time, I also delved deeper into English literature in my English classes, which further strengthened my passion for language and text. Final update post. To the people who were concerned, I sent the update and she laughed. Yes, she laughed that people were thinking she was going to kill herself. She said, I am getting better even though I know I failed my son. He will be fine, I will be fine and we will all move on. At this point I had a rage on her. I unleashed everything and told her how she could swift so fast from begging acceptance to indifference and what she said really made me think she is a sociopath. You all catched me in my weakest moment but after leaving you behind, I realized my biggest mistake was thinking I needed acceptance from you people. I then asked didn't she feel bad when the judge burned him at the court. She said, at that time I was only relieved from being free of you and when you question your mortality, you search for companionship instinctively. I don't know how to translate here from German but I tried, but I know better now. Don't expect a call from me or don't wait a funeral announcement. Goodbye, and she closed the phone. I don't know what to tell then I hope she dies alone in a caring home without no one to hurt anymore but with this hatred against us, I hope she will die soon. Good night everyone. Stories number 5. AITA for not calling my dad's fiancé my stepmom and for saying they're both hypocrites for being mad I laughed when her son told her to fuck off. My dad's, 40s, engaged to a woman called Angie, 40s. Both my dad and Angie have kids. Dad has me, 16M, and my sister, 14F. Angie has a son, 17M, another son, 15M, and a daughter, 12F. Dad and Angie started dating 2 years ago. We all moved in together in January and they're getting married in September. Me and my sister lost our mom 5 years ago. I think Angie's kids lost their dad too but I'm not really that sure. I see Angie as my dad's fiancée and when they get married she'll be his wife. I don't call her my stepmom and I won't. She's not going to be my actual parent here. Just the woman my dad's with. I didn't think that would be a big deal. But we've had some issues over me not calling her my stepmom and because I go to my dad for parenting stuff and not her. Like if I need permission for something or when I want something signed, I go to my dad. I tell him about talks with my guidance counselor about my options when I graduate and not Angie. We all do the same. So my dad and Angie pulled all of us in for a family meeting and brought up how none of us use stepmom or stepdad and how we're not treating this like a family and a two-parenting unit like it is. Angie told her oldest that he has a stepdad now and he should be working on that father-son bond and getting his advice on things. He told her to fuck off and go fuck herself and that my dad is nothing but the dick she rides and that's all he'll ever be. She didn't say anything about that. Neither did my dad. The two of them focused on me next and dad said some stuff but Angie jumped in and basically took over. She said I have two parents again and I need to start calling her my stepmom and treating her like a parent because this won't ever work if I only show dad that same level of trust and respect. She said she is here to be my parent. I laughed at the two of them and said she's not my parent too. I said she's going to be dad's wife. I can respect that. I can respect them. But she's not my parent and I'm not about to treat her like one or call her my stepmom. I said if she doesn't like it she can leave. They focused zero on what I said and all their anger was about me laughing. They said it's so disrespectful to laugh in their faces like that and that it's a serious topic of conversation and I'm ruining everything. Dad told me I owed Angie an apology and Angie said I needed to get a better attitude and realize she'll be my parent whether I like it or not and I won't have a say. It made me mad that they were so angry at me but not at her son who told her to fuck off, fuck herself and said my dad was just the dick she rides. Like WTF. How is laughing worse than that? I didn't swear at anybody or call her just the woman my dad fucks. I told them they were hypocrites for getting so mad at me laughing when her son did what he did minutes before. I told them if that was how they were going to be, I'd keep my mouth shut and would count down to my 18th birthday and peace out. They said my reaction was over the top, and I said I had nothing more to talk about because I'll get in trouble for rolling my eyes while her son could probably punch my dad square in the face and get away with it. Ever since that talk, things are tense and they're still annoyed at everything. It did come back up that I need to start calling her my stepmom. But I ignored that because I'm not engaging when I know it'll backfire on me. Stories number 6. AITA for getting a DNA test for my daughter. I, 25M, have been with my girlfriend, 24F, for a few years. I'm black, dark skin, black hair, brown eyes. She's white blonde hair, blue eyes. We had a baby girl last year, and she just turned 1. The issue is my daughter doesn't look like me at all. She's got pale skin, bright red hair, blue eyes. And I get that mixed kids can come out all sorts of ways, but there's nothing of me in her. I expected her to be lighter than me, but this was way beyond what I expected. At first, I kept it to myself. I didn't want to be that guy who jumps to conclusions or accuses his partner of cheating. But it got harder to ignore. People constantly comment on how much she looks like her mom, and the looks I get when I say I'm her dad are getting to me. And honestly, the doubt started affecting how I connected with my daughter. I still showed up for everything: diapers, feedings, all of it, but something was stuck in the back of my mind. I brought it up to my girlfriend, and she got super defensive. Said I was accusing her of cheating, that I didn't trust her, and she shut the conversation down. Every time I tried to revisit it just to talk about genetics or anything, she got upset. We had several fights about it, and eventually I just stopped bringing it up, but the feeling never went away. So I got a DNA test behind her back. I knew she'd be mad, but I needed to know. I couldn't keep living with that doubt. She's mine. I was relieved, honestly. Like I could finally breathe again. She absolutely blew up, said I violated her trust, disrespected her and our family, and now she's barely speaking to me unless it's about the baby. She says she's rethinking the relationship altogether. I get that it hurt her. But I tried talking about it. We were already fighting about this. I felt like I had no other option. And now I'm being treated like the bad guy even though I'm still here, still doing everything a dad should. So. Aita. Stories number 7. Neighbor tried to get my mom fined over our shed. So I got his $40,000 pool filled in. I live with my mom. She's quiet, keeps to herself, never bothers anyone. A few months ago, our new neighbor decided to report her to the city for having an illegal shed in the backyard. It was total BS. The shed's been there for years and has full permits. An inspector came out, checked everything, and left without saying a word. But the neighbor, smug, proud, thought he'd scared us, so I did a little digging. Turns out his brand new pool was way too close to the property line and illegally built over a utility easement. I reported him. Attached photos. Quoted city codes. 2 weeks later, the city ordered him to either move it, impossible, or fill it in. He lost the whole thing, $40,000 down the drain. Literally. Now he gets to look at our completely legal shed every day, while standing over a pile of dirt where his pool used to be. Mom sleeps great now. Stories number 8. Sit in my seat and refuse to move. Enjoy being uncomfortable. Last week I took a flight from Athens, where I'd been visiting relatives, to London. It was a late flight, I was exhausted and the plane was full. I was in a window seat, which I'd chosen so I could rest my head against the walls and sleep. But when I got to my row, there was a guy in my seat. He had big headphones on and had his head turned away from me. I try telling him that he's in my seat. He doesn't respond. Thinking maybe he can't hear me because of the headphones, so I gently tap him on the shoulder. No reaction. I try again. Still nothing. He doesn't even turn towards me. Edited to add that he's clearly not asleep, he's sitting upright and I can see his eyes are open. I considered calling over a flight attendant to ask him to move, but there isn't one nearby and I'm not in the mood for it to be a whole thing, so I just take the middle seat and quietly fume. A few minutes later, the young woman who is sitting in the aisle seat arrives and takes her seat. She is traveling with her friend, who is sitting in the window seat in the row behind us. They are talking to each other across their seats. Then, the woman sitting in the aisle seat turns to me and asks if I can swap with her friend so they can sit together. I say sure, no problem. Now, at this point it is important to point out that her friend is very fat, borderline obese, not fat shaming. I'm a heavy guy myself, but she is at least twice as wide as me. I probably would have swapped even if she hadn't been fat, but I saw a chance at revenge. As I get up to move, I see the guy sitting in my seat has turned around and realized what is about to happen. He doesn't look happy and gives me a look like he's saying please don't move. I ignore him and swap seats. I spent the flight mostly with my eyes closed as I try, and fail, to get a nap. But I do occasionally have a look at the row in front of me, and I am very satisfied to see that the fat woman in front of me is taking up nearly half of the window seat as well as her own seat, and that the guy in my seat is squashed up against the wall of the plane. I hope he spent the flight thinking about how if he'd just taken his own seat, he'd have been able to swap with the fat woman and I'd have been the one pinned against the wall. Maybe next time he will think twice before he takes someone else's seat. Stories number 9. AITA for refusing to repay my ex-husband for the college tuition he paid for years ago. So for some background, my ex-husband and I ended things over 20 years ago. When our son was 2 he stepped out. At the time I was a stay-at-home mom and going to nursing school full-time. He was paying for my schooling. After he left I asked him if he would keep paying for my school so I could finish with no debt. He agreed, saying it was the least he could do. A few months after that he got his affair partner pregnant. Once she got pregnant she demanded he stop paying for my schooling. It was 1/5 of their income and she said that money needed to go towards their new baby. He refused and kept paying for the remaining year and a half I had left. Over the years I continued my education and now I'm a nurse practitioner. I do well for myself and I never remarried. On to the problem. My son called me and told me he and his wife are expecting. I was ecstatic. I asked if I could come over sometime during the weekend by and give them some things, his favorite stuffy as a child, a check, and some other small sentimental things. He said yes, so I went over earlier today. I came by and gave him everything including a check for a few $1,000s. For baby stuff, co-pays, the nursery, or anything else they may want. My son and his wife thanked me and told me the money would be very helpful. My ex-husband and his wife came over and little while later, they surprised them with dinner and didn't know I'd be there, and saw the check on the counter. My ex's wife asked about it and I said, oh well, I wanted to help out where I could, everything's so expensive nowadays. I was really just trying to be polite, but I don't think this is any of her business. This woman had the audacity to say, well maybe since you have all this money now you can finally pay us back all that money you took when you went to college. I was dumbfounded. My ex has literally never brought up me paying him back. He's always said it was the least he could do for both me and our son. My ex has done very well for himself in his career. I didn't see how or why they'd need the money, so I asked them, do you guys need the money or something? And my ex said no, and she said, of course not, it's about principle. I told her I will absolutely not be paying them back for college tuition from over 20 years ago, especially when she ended up in our marital home while I was living in a small apartment barely making ends meet for years after I initially finished school. I've never been bitter or mean, I've always been civil since our kids are siblings, but my blood was boiling. I left shortly after that. According to my son, this has been a point of contention in their marriage. She's brought it up a few times over the years in front of him. And she's insisting to him that he needs to convince me to finally pay back what they're owed. The biggest issue is now that the whole damn family is involved. I got calls from 3 separate family members saying I need to get over myself and just pay it back. So AITA here. Comments. Commenter 1. Tell her it was the adultery tax or that her husband was ensuring that his son would have a good life with either parent. NTA. Reply, this is exactly what my ex said. He wanted to make sure we could both afford things for our son. It was in a way a good investment for him because we went half on basically every activity he was in, his first car, and his college tuition. We definitely couldn't have done that if I only had a high school education. Commenter 2. So reiterate that to her, okay, I'll pay the student loans back, and we can recalculate all the child support, car, uni fees etc. as though I was never educated. So that would mean I pay you about $30,000 and in return, you'd be up for, let's see, $10,000 a year for 13 years, plus half a car $20,000, plus half of tuition $60,000, plus health insurance at $1,000 a year, times 17, let's call it $20K, so let's call it even at about $230K, sound good? I'll take my $30,000 off the balance, and you can just pay me $200,000 and we call it even. And when she balks, say, your husband wanted your son to be raised well, with a fair and safe house. If I had not graduated, this is what it would have cost your husband. He is business-minded and made wise financial decisions for himself, as well as his son. Without paying for my fees it would have cost him significantly more, for significantly longer, and his son's life would have had significantly more struggle. How he stayed married to you all this time is the true mystery. What did you say your qualification is in, because surely you can math this too. And walk away. Commenter 3. Oh, How he stayed married is no mystery. IMHO they are both most likely ignoring each other's affairs while trying to pretend to everyone that him committing adultery and leaving his first wife resulted in a lasting marriage and so therefore it must have been worth it and the right choice. If they cheat with you, they will always cheat on you. People who cheat stay with other cheaters to prove a point, that they did the right thing and were always right to be together, but they very rarely manage to stay faithful to the person they cheated with on the first place. Update. So first I want to clarify some things. Yes, it was our marital home, we bought it after getting married. I didn't fight so hard for it in the divorce for a few reasons, mostly that she was borderline harassing me about how they needed the house for their growing family. I also didn't want to deal with a longer and more drawn-out divorce and it would have been if I fought for the house. Yes, he bought me out of the house, however it really wasn't much as it was late 2007. Most of it went towards credit card debt anyway. Another thing, when he was paying for my schooling we were still legally married. The divorce didn't finalize until after I graduated. There was no child support until after I graduated. There was never any alimony. I did live in the house while I was in school and they lived in an apartment. He paid all those bills including hers after she got pregnant. So his finances were tight at the time. The family that called weren't my relatives. They were my ex's and his wife's relatives. I thought they were family, they've since been blocked. On to the update. I got off work yesterday to find a few missed calls from my son. When I called him back he tells me that his stepmom has now asked for the money from the check since it was almost the same amount they spent on my college. She said it was obvious I'd never pay my debts and that I would just give him, my son, more money anyways. I'm stunned. I'm pissed. I don't know what has possessed her to think to ask my son for money intended for his family. I tell my son to ignore her and I'll handle it, so next I call my ex. It goes straight to voicemail. I try again a few minutes later and it's the same thing. So I reluctantly call my ex's wife and she answers immediately. I tell her the three of us, my ex, her, and me, need to meet first thing in the morning to discuss the debt. I'm thinking this needs to happen in person with all three of us so there's no confusion. She agrees. This morning we met at a coffee shop near my ex's work. As soon as they sit down I say, so, ex's wife, want to tell me why you think it's appropriate to ask my son for money? My ex looks at her and says, you asked, our son, for money. She starts, on about how she was only asking for the money they're owed, and she didn't ask for more than was on the check. Then she says, for years we struggled due to paying for your school. For years we couldn't afford a new car, a new house, or a nanny. My kids had to share a room. She goes on about her struggles. I started to tune her out because I keep thinking there's no way she's this deluded. It may have been inappropriate but I laughed. I literally took out thousands in credit card debt to keep me and my son afloat while my at the time husband was shacking up with her and paying her bills. My ex looks at her and says, what the hell, ex's wife. I added, it's laughable you think you're owed anything from while you were a mistress. We were married when he paid for my schooling, it's quite literally none of your business how he chose to spend money. You had zero entitlement to his money until you said, I do, and from what I recall that wasn't until years after the divorce was even finalized. Do not contact me or my son about this money again. You will never see a dime from me. She rolls her eyes and gets up to leave. My ex tells her he's going to stay for a minute. After she's gone he asks why I didn't just call him and tell him about what was going on, said he would have handled it and that it didn't have to go this far. I say I did call him, twice actually, and this is how we figured out she blocked my number from his phone. So those of you who said she's just very insecure, you were absolutely correct. I tell him that she involved his sister, cousin, and his sister-in-law. That I got several calls and texts from them telling me I should just pay back my debt finally. I tell him that she involved the family and then asked our son for money intended for his baby. She's crossed too many lines. He apologizes and says he'll make sure she doesn't bother me about it again. We both leave after that. My son told me he blocked her number and doesn't want her at his house until she apologizes. That's pretty much it for now. Comments. Commenter 1. Wow, your ex's wife needs a reality check. Maybe she should start a GoFundMe for her struggles instead of asking for money from your son. Reply. What's weird about this is that my ex makes significantly more than I do. They're anything but struggling financially. Commenter 2. This isn't over yet. Gear up girl, the crazy is about to be dialed up to 100. Reply. God, I hope not. Commenter 3. I hope for your sake it's over, but I would be looking at getting a restraining order, keep any evidence of harassment going forward. If things get out of hand or escalate then you can take action immediately. If their relationship goes further south or divorce happens then she will 100% blame you, in Hidelilu, she will say you broke their family up. Yes, I'm aware of the irony. With someone like this, it's better to be prepared to protect yourself, because you never know how crazy they will go. Stories number 10. I, 28M, think my FWB, 27F, has feelings for me, don't know how to navigate. So, about 6 months back I went out for drinks with some friends, one of which was Chris, fake name obviously. Chris and I have known each other since we were in middle school and were never super close but were always good friends, if that makes sense. She got wasted and was being flirted with by another guy in the group who was sober, which sent off alarm bells for me, so when we were all walking to our apartments and he'd lingered instead of going to my apartment, I ended up crashing on her couch. The next morning while we were having breakfast she admitted she found me cute, really appreciated what I did the night before, and wanted to know if I'd be up for a FWB situation. So ever since we've been just that. We'd both just gotten out of relationships at the time, and surprisingly this FWB situation resulted in us actually becoming really close friends, to where we now actually just hang out more often than we hang out specifically with the intent to sleep with each other. Well, before we had a pretty strict, no staying the night, rule, because for her, that felt like a step beyond FWB, but late last month she asked if I'd be willing to stay the night because I just really need someone to cuddle with tonight, and I didn't think anything of it and obliged. But now it's become every time we do it one of us ends up stay the night at the other's apartment. She's also been making more overtly flirty comments towards me when we're with friends, which was another rule we had because we wanted to keep things private. Problem is, I don't know that I share her feelings. She's amazing, don't get me wrong, beautiful, can't undersell this. I work in a field where I work with models on a regular basis and most of them do not compare. No idea why she picked me of all people. Brilliant, driven, and one of the kindest people I know. This girl volunteers at a soup kitchen weekly. I've been incredibly grateful to have gotten closer to her over the last 6 months. I think she's one of those people you're lucky if you get to meet even one of in your whole life. I know once feelings get involved there's no real going back to strict FWB, but I also would rather get buried alive than hurt her. So I would love advice on how to handle this. TLDR, I, 28M, have been FWB with Chris, 27F, for around 6 months and suspect she's caught feelings. I need help navigating the situation. Comments. Commenter 1. I think this is unavoidable. Two close friends who know each other and sleep together are bound to get attached. There aren't many options, no more FWB, just friends, no more friendship, just the benefits. As for navigating it, if you don't want to be in a relationship, you can let her know. It's likely that the friendship will get messy, and it's quite possible that you would need to take some space from each other until you can reset the friendship. I am of the belief that ultimately, FWB don't really work on the long term. They are temporary situations for all parties until one finds a partner or gets attached to the other party. Reply, I do kind of dread the conversation. I know it's something I have to do. But she's my best friend in the entire world and I'd do anything for her. I just don't think I share romantic feelings for her. Part of it might be that the relationship I got out of shortly before starting this with her ended spectacularly badly and very much exploded, and I don't know that I'm ready for a relationship with anyone honestly. At the same time I dread if I tell her it could harm our friendship. Commenter 2. Not having this conversation is being unfair to her. She is getting strung along, maintaining the hope that you might want to be with her down the road. This prevents her from moving forward and potentially seeking a romantic partner. It's impossible to know what the friendship will turn into, but you both implicitly accepted the consequences when you started sleeping with each other. She will hurt on the short term but will surely be thankful, knowing that she can make an informed decision regarding the nature of you guys' relationship. Reply, a totally fair point. I only really had all of this click this morning when I came here to make a post. I don't know that I've even fully processed it if I'm being entirely honest. But I know she's off work, I think it's probably time to pull the band-aid off. I don't even know that a relationship with her in the future is completely off the table, but I do know that at this moment it might have to be because I don't know that I'm in a position to have a relationship with anyone. Commenter 3. It's great that you've realized that, and it sounds like you own it fully. I was in a similar situation a while back and I decided to stop seeing the person for 6 months. That really helped. Ultimately, the friendship didn't work out, but things might be different for you since it sounds like the friendship is really strong. I wouldn't mention to her that a relationship is potentially on the table, because that might lead her to keep hoping. Reply, we had a brief conversation and it was exactly as I suspected. I told her up front that I was not in a good place to be in a relationship. Frankly, I have trust issues and stuff right now I've got to work through first in therapy. I told her that I think the world of her, but that at this point in my life I'm not ready to enter a committed relationship. She said she understood, and then hung up. I'm going to give her some space and let her lead reaching back out if she chooses to. Commenter 4. Hopefully you didn't let a good thing go here. The way you described her was effusive, and maybe your past experience with someone who wasn't her is keeping you from fully embracing what sounds like could be a great partnership. Good on you for taking care of your mental health, and I genuinely hope things work out. Reply, I hate to say this now but I can't help but think I might have made a tremendous mistake in not giving myself some time to process all of it before just jumping straight into like problem-solving mode. I've gotta just live with it for now and hope I didn't just make a horrible mistake I can't fix. Commenter 5. I think you kinda copped out here. You said you're not romantically into her but this insinuates that you might be down the line. It's still stringing her along to some extent. If she does reach back out, you need to set extremely clear and firm platonic boundaries. No getting drunk together and, it just happened, no flirting or excessive texting, no hanging out alone. You owe it to her not to make her think that you're eventually going to be ready for her. Reply, I should be clear, while I said that here, I did not say or even insinuate that it would ever be a possibility to her over the phone. I told her relationships weren't even something I was ready to think about because I think I'd be a shitty boyfriend because my last relationship left me scarred in ways I haven't fully dealt with. That said, I'm now really regretting being so reactionary to the revelation instead of giving myself to process it. It's possible the damage is done now, but having sat with it now and having realized I may have just completely lost her from my life, I'm devastated and now I'm really questioning if I've made a massive mistake not giving a relationship with her a chance. Commenter 6. I told her relationships weren't even something I was ready to think about. This is what I mean, though. There's a difference between, I'm not ready to be a boyfriend to anyone yet, and, I do not have romantic feelings for you specifically. One leaves the door open for hope even if you don't explicitly say it. I'm not saying this to chastise you, just to encourage you to be very clear about platonic boundaries if you do become friends again. I'm really questioning if I've made a massive mistake not giving a relationship with her a chance. You have been quite clear in the comments that you don't feel romantically towards her. I think you're getting swayed because people in the comments are telling you you made a mistake and because you're scared of losing her friendship. But if you had feelings for her you'd know. It's far better not to lead someone on just because you think they're a great person and you should like them in that way. You did the right thing not pursuing this when you don't have those feelings for her. Reply, the issue I'm facing is that after my last relationship I kind of swore off dating entirely. She is incredible. Like, I read back the way I wrote about her and described her, unintentionally gushing, and every single word I said about her really is how I feel about her. I'm a professional photographer so I work with professional models all the time and when I look at her none of them compare to her. Sometimes when I zone out I see her eyes. They're these incredibly captivating gray-blue. They're like mesmerizing. But that's not even all of it. I hear her dorky little giggle in the quiet moments when I'm editing pictures. And when I wake up in the morning she's the one I want to talk to. I think I do have feelings for her and I think I just got scared by the prospect because of my last relationship. Update. Well, I didn't really expect to have an update this soon or at all. I suspect it'll be the only update. After the first post I called her and told her I suspected she had feelings, I was right, and told her I didn't have feelings and wasn't ready for a relationship out of panic for the situation. Thankfully it was therapy day. I talked things out with my therapist about how I have serious fears about getting back into a relationship, how those fears made me react way too quickly, and how now that things potentially collapsed I've re-examined how I feel about her. After therapy I just let myself sit with things for a while. Then I called her. Call went to voicemail. So I texted her and let her know I wanted to talk and wanted to do it in person if she was willing. She texted back and said she was willing to meet for dinner to hear me out. So I laid everything out for her. How my last relationship fucked me up and how that made me panic when I realized she had feelings and act before I even gave myself time to process. And then I told her how I really felt. That her voice is my favorite sound, how her smile is what I see when I close my eyes, all of it, and most importantly that if she was willing to be patient with me I wanted to give us a shot. Anyways, I'm taking her in a proper date this weekend. TLDR, I nearly ruined things but managed to salvage it and got the good ending. Comments. Commenter 1. After reading your first post before this one I'm glad you came to the realization because the way you talked about her made it clear to me that you had some deep feelings too, you just weren't ready to recognize them for what they were. I'm glad your therapist helped you out as well. I hope everything goes well for you both. Reply, therapy is the best. I think because of my history I was afraid to let myself feel feelings again, but this sneaky fucker got to me. Commenter 2. Glad you got your head sorted. Based on how you described her it definitely sounded like you had some feelings, they're just really messy with the other stuff you're dealing with. Commenter 3. Honestly, reading back how I described her and how I felt the need to gush about her was the first moment I went, wait, do I have feelings? Commenter 4. Very happy for you. Wishing you both a long relationship. Reply, thank you. I'm gonna have to make up for being an idiot, but I intend to do that as thoroughly as possible. Stories number 11. AITA for ignoring my wife for throwing away my late wife videotapes. I am writing this because I don't know what to do. I have a daughter with my late wife and her name is Eleanor. Her birthday is coming up in 2 weeks and she's turning 18. Background, me and my late wife, Chloe, has been dating since college. We got older and ended up getting married, and after our wedding, she shared news to me that she was pregnant and I was excited that we were expecting our first child. Since it was our first child, we bought a video camera and made little tapes and snippets of her whole pregnancy. Wholesome things such as us just joking around or having lunch, or talking to our unborn child through the camera. We made a promise to only show Eleanor the tapes until her 18th birthday. Fast forward 2 years after her birth, Chloe passed away due to a drunk driver crashing into her car as she was coming home from her mother's house. I was devastated of her passing and went into a deep depression and having to raise our 2-year-old daughter by myself. My friends tried to get me to go out again and start back dating, but every time I did I felt like I was betraying her. Years later, when Eleanor was 13, I met Wendy. We met at a gathering for my sister's birthday and we instantly hit it off. She didn't mind that I had a daughter because she had 2 kids herself and just went through a divorce. 2 years after we got married, now back to the present. Eleanor's 18th birthday is coming up and I kept all the tapes for me to show her. Mind you, her mother died when she was just 2, so Eleanor doesn't remember her touch or her voice. I was excited to show her the tapes, and a week ago I was talking to Wendy about it and I noticed her expression going from happy to looking a bit uncomfortable. Wendy would always get uncomfortable when I talk about my late wife. I don't say things like, "Why can't you be like Chloe," or "Chloe was only supposed to be my first love," but I talk about her in a way to give my daughter a mental picture of how her mother was like. Wendy has always talked to me about Chloe and how it made her sad that she can never be like her. Chloe was a model, then started working on her fashion career, and don't get me wrong, she was a really beautiful woman, while Wendy had 2 kids in college and not in the best shape due to her words. I love both women how they are and I've never had a preference, but I feel like Wendy is gaining some jealousy towards Chloe. I told Wendy that I love her just the way she was and she broke down crying. The next day after that incident she came up to me and apologized for the way she acted last night. I told her it was okay and it's good that she felt comfortable to share her feelings, and I gave her a tight hug and a kiss on her forehead. She asked to see where the tapes were at and I showed her the box of videotapes of my late wife in my closet. Things were going fine until yesterday morning. I was looking for the tapes because I wanted to put them in a prettier box for my daughter, and when I went to go find them, the box wasn't in my closet. I looked everywhere to the point I walked downstairs to see my wife laying on the couch watching TV. I asked her about the box and she told me she threw it away with a neutral expression. My heart dropped and I asked her what did she mean, and she told me that I talk about her too much and that I need to move on with my life, so she threw them away as a head start. I was fuming with anger because not only she threw away what I had left of her, she threw away my daughter. Big surprise. We quickly got into an argument and she noticed how angry I was, so she started apologizing. It got to the point I started crying and locked myself in our bedroom. It's the morning and I'm writing this in my office, going through my computer finding old files or any type of video of my late wife to give it to my daughter, because sometimes my daughter still cries that she never got to meet her mother and I really thought it would bring her closer to her. I've been ignoring my wife for the past day and she's been texting me non-stop about how sorry she is, but I really just can't look at her right now. It's getting to the point our mutual friends are texting me to accept her apology and get over it since Chloe died over 10 years ago, but I'm trying to ignore them all because they never had someone so close to them died. I am working on finding these files and I'm starting to think I was overreacting. I don't know what to do and I really need help. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, your nosy friends can F right off. What your current wife, soon to be ex, I hope, did was despicable. I am so sorry. OP, devastating. Reply, not really my friends, but 2 of my wife's best friends that I'm cool with. I see why they are the first to text me, knowing my wife probably said something to them. Commenter 2, get a divorce. She not only did she throw away your memories, she threw away your daughter's only chance of seeing her mother again. She's a heartless woman and she does care about you. Reply, a lot of the comments are saying divorce. I posted this not long ago and got so many feedback and it's starting to overthink our relationship. Downvoted commenter, why the hell would you wait until your daughter turned 18 though? YTA for that. Reply, like I said in the post. Me and my late wife made those videotapes only because she saw people doing it and showing it to their child on their 18th birthday, mostly because the child is almost an adult or is moving out. We both didn't know she would pass away or this would be the outcome, so I stayed by her wish. Commenter 3, NTA. But your new wife is. To act sorry about throwing a tantrum, then using your empathy to show her the videos just so she can throw them away out of spite. Especially knowing your plans for them with your daughter. She'd be my ex-wife real soon if I were in your shoes. Commenter 4, Dear Lord, I'm honestly not one to advocate for divorce, but I do not think I could continue a relationship with someone who did something so wildly despicable. That isn't jealousy, that's a mental disorder. She stole the only vestiges of your wife that your daughter will have. This is not something you come back from or seek an apologies for. This is a line in the sand. Small update. I didn't expect this to blow up. I came on here to look for general advice and now I have thousands of people taking in my DMs. I'm gonna be answering some questions that I'm getting asked about the most. I was thinking about asking Wendy about the tapes and where she threw them out at, but I saw a comment that told me to don't ask her, because it might give her some time to hide it or lie. Instead, when I went back home I checked in the outside trash cans and the kitchen one and I still couldn't find them. Trash day isn't until Thursday, so I was confused. I finally went up to ask her and at first she wasn't gonna tell me. I threatened with divorce like one you guys said and she gave in. It turned out she kept the videotapes in her car until trash day arrived because she knew I would look through the trash. So now I have the tapes, thank God. Another question asked was, did Eleanor know about the tapes? No, I didn't want to ruin the surprise until if I knew that I had a backup. She didn't know about them now and I'm not planning on telling her until her birthday. The only problem is that I'm afraid that Wendy might tell her. One more question is people asking if I'm considering divorce. Wendy never did anything like this before and I don't want to ruin a 6-year relationship. But at the same time I really do think she needs some type of help. I'm considering asking her to go to therapy and I'm really considering our relationship. Wendy is really good with my daughter and my daughter loves her and her children like family. I think Wendy is just trying to take Chloe's place with being Eleanor's mother. I really starting to think she has issues. A lot of people also said if I don't divorce her I will betray my daughter. My daughter is my number is 1 and I think I should find someone better that can respect not only me but my daughter and her mother. Top comments. Commenter 1, very glad you got the tapes back. The fact that she knew you'd go through the trash and thus kept them in the car, that's as smoking gun as it gets. That shows that she knew she was overstepping a boundary and you wouldn't be okay with it. It shows she knew you'd be upset and would want the tapes back. And she only gave in when she realized she was about to get divorced. Every part of this is 100% selfish on her part. She's happy to cause you, and potentially Wendy, lots of pain to satisfy her jealousy. As internet people, we only see what you tell us. That's why Reddit always tells people to break up at the sign of every problem. Because we don't see the good times, we only see the problem that an OP describes. But even with that in mind, I think you need to have a serious hard think about your marriage and how much if any trust you have in this woman. She was willing to destroy a personal message for your daughter from her dead mom out of jealousy. That's not a little jealous territory, that's serious violation of trust. She tried to destroy something that was truly irreplaceable, a memory of Chloe. She tried to seriously betray your trust and your daughter's. My suggestion is tell her that she needs to stay somewhere else until you decide what if any future the marriage holds. Tell her that the only reason you've any sort of decision to make is because she gave the tapes back. If the tapes had been lost you would be divorcing her without question or hesitation. In your family you don't destroy each other's stuff out of jealousy, especially something irreplaceable like a message from a dead mother. That is the action of a jealous and bitter narcissist, not a loving wife and stepmother. So you need space from her while you decide what if any future you and her have together. In that time you strongly encourage her to get some personal therapy to deal with her apparent extreme jealousy of a dead woman. I'd also suggest you should tell your daughter everything. Tell her about the tapes, and tell her that your wife tried to throw them away. Tell her that your wife was going to take them to the trash and only gave them back when you threatened divorce. Tell her that your trust was broken, that you are considering divorce, and if she doesn't want to see Wendy anymore you'll understand and won't force her to. Tell her you still love Wendy but you're not sure if the Wendy you love really exists, because the Wendy you love would never do such an awful thing, especially to Eleanor. Edit. Also, forget the when she turns 18 thing. Eleanor I think needs to see those tapes now. 17 is close enough, she's a young adult whether she hit the magic number or not. Commenter 2, for the love of God, take those tapes to a professional to be made into digital videos to be backed up many places. Your wife needs serious help. Commenter 3, as someone who lost a parent as a child, I am so beyond relieved to hear that you were able to recover those tapes. Something like that would change my life. If my step-parent did something like that I would only hope my mother would leave him. But first priority, put those tapes somewhere this wife cannot get to them, for your daughter's sake, and do it immediately. A lockbox perhaps, anything where your wife can't get to them. And same goes for when your daughter has them. Update 2, it's been a month now, things been definitely changing. For anyone wondering, Eleanor's birthday went great, especially without Wendy there to ruin it. Basically what happened was Wendy found my post and went crazy about it. She started accusing me of trying to ruin her life over something so little, and the way she only found out because her older sister saw the story on TikTok. We got into an argument and she tried gaslighting me into being the crazy one and threatened me to leave and take all I own and whatever she said. She then proceeds to go into our room and start tearing things down, trying to look for the tapes again. I pulled her wrist, trying to get her to calm down, but she took it as an opportunity to start breaking down crying, saying that I hit her. Which I back off and just watched her as she tried to throw things at me, and now I reach my breaking point because it's the day of my daughter's birthday and had little time to get to dinner tonight, because we have reservations. I was already ready and had to pick Eleanor up from a friend's house, so I grabbed my keys and left her there, not having time for her to act like a child. And by the way, the tapes were at my mother's house as we were all gonna go there after the dinner. The night went great after that, and me and Eleanor came home to a messy house with furniture and pictures teared up. It looked like a bunch of 3-year-olds went wild in there. Wendy and her children wasn't anywhere to be found, and neither was her car. I already assumed it was Wendy who did all of this, plus I had proof because I keep security cameras in my house. I tell Eleanor about everything that went down before her birthday, and she was shocked at least to know the woman she thought was an angel was actually B. Long story short, we call the cops. Wendy gets arrested but gets out after 3 days. Now I am almost done with my divorce process. Also, Wendy, if you're reading this, have fun living at your mother's house and having a criminal record. I hope it was worth it. Top comments. Commenter 1, Dude up, I'm so sorry for this. And I encourage you to get ahead of her and share your side of the story with your mutual before she twists it into you being abusive. Commenter 2, she trashed your home, faked abuse, and tried to hijack your daughter's birthday with a meltdown. Divorce isn't drama, it's damage control at this point. Commenter 3, cameras to the rescue. There is proof, and she can't twist that. Good for you op, divorce was the only option. Stories number 12. AITA for not giving up my checkout spot to a woman with fewer items. So this happened a couple days ago and I've been thinking about it more than I probably should. I was at the grocery store picking up a few things for the week and I ended up in one of those 10 items or less express lanes. I had exactly 10 things, nothing major, just basics like eggs, bread, etc. Pretty normal trip. Right as I'm putting my stuff on the belt, this woman behind me, mid-40s maybe, kind of leans in and asks if she can go ahead of me since she only has 2 things. I looked and yeah, she had just a couple small things. But the thing is, I'd already started unloading, and there were 2 people behind her too, so it wasn't like the line was empty. I just said, "Oh sorry, I already started," and kept unloading. I wasn't rude or anything, just kept it simple. She didn't say anything, but she let out this really exaggerated sigh and started muttering about how manners are just gone these days, and some people have no decency. The person behind her kind of awkwardly smiled at me like they didn't want to get involved. I checked out, left, and didn't think much of it until later that night when I told a friend the story. They were like, "Dude, you should have just let her go, it would have taken like 30 seconds. Which yeah, maybe. But at the same time I was already mid-checkout, and it just felt weird to shuffle everything around. So now I'm sitting here wondering, was I really being that inconsiderate? I didn't yell, I wasn't aggressive, I just didn't want to stop mid-checkout and make it a whole thing. Aita. Stories number 13. I, M31, didn't let my GF, F24, wipe my ass. She cried and is now super upset. It is what it sounds like. We've been dating for 1.5 years. Exclusive during the entire relationship. This girl is caring, loving, understanding, funny, sweet, charming, smart, and very responsible. Loyal AF. I got into an accident a week ago. I won't delve into this too much. I needed therapy to strengthen my lower body, and now I'm admitted to the hospital for some retests and a physical therapy test of some sort where I have to show the doctor if my lower body can do certain movements and take certain weights. I'm in a separate wing from the COVID patients, super far away, so we are quite safe. My girlfriend is an essential worker, not a nurse, so she can move around with more flexibility. She has been staying with me except when she has her shift. Yesterday morning I had to take a dump. I can stand and walk to the bathroom, but the problem is, you know that part when you have to push a bit for the poop to come out? Yeah, I can't push too much as I will be exerting pressure on my lower body, so I need to lean forward a bit against the wall across the toilet or lean on someone standing over me while I poop. In our house, I can reach the wall, but in the hospital room's bathroom, I can't because it's too wide. I took laxatives for the first few days of the accident to avoid the pushing, but it was put on hold 2 days ago to prepare for the test yesterday. At this point my back hurts and I thought what a shitty timing to poop because it would be difficult for me to wipe my ass and wash it. In my country we wash it with water. So my GF offered to be that someone I can lean on while I poop. She said it so nonchalantly that I stared. Like it was no big deal for her. Okay, let's go, you can lean on me while you poop. Of course I didn't let her be that person, cause it's embarrassing. I said no, just go to the nurse station and ask if someone can help me, and she said, I'm already here, why do you need someone else? But I was really feeling the need to poop and had no time for arguments, so I raised my voice just a tiny bit and told her to just get some help. So she did. A nursing assistant, not sure what they called, came and helped me do it. When I was done, I went out and my mom is there looking pretty bummed. She said my GF was upset and crying and told my mom that she is my partner, so I should be comfortable to ask her for that kind of help. I don't know how to react. I just thought, why would I let my GF do that, which is embarrassing and disgusting for her, I would imagine, of course. My GF's point is that why am I more comfortable to be in that kind of vulnerable position with another woman, the nursing assistant, and not with her? My mom is on her side. The reason I really didn't want her to do it is because I was embarrassed and I don't want her to lose her attraction for me. Now she's feeling like I don't trust her enough and that if I see a future with her I should be comfortable being vulnerable on that level with her, and TBH I see her point now, but I just don't know how to fix this. She went home now and will probably, hopefully, come back tomorrow, which is my last day here. How to fix this, Reddit? I'm not very good at expressing my emotions, so I don't know. Is she a keeper or too emotional? TLDR, GF is upset I let a nursing assistant help me with pooping, and not her. Update. To those who said that this is a red flag and that I should leave her if she doesn't respect my boundaries, I appreciate the thoughts, but this girl loves me for who I am, the good and the bad, willing to stick it out through anything that may come our way, goofy, smart, loyal, loving, and she gives me a lot of support, kisses, and cuddles every day. I love her to death. We talked and I explained everything very clearly. I made sure to express my love and appreciation for her. You guys who said that she realized we were not on that intimate stage in our relationship that she thought we were, you were right. She was hurt and disappointed that I would think she will lose her attraction to me just because of that. She said I minimized her love for me, and that I should have more faith in her. She apologized if she made me feel like her feelings were more valid over my embarrassment. She hopes I will become more comfortable with things like that, in my own pace, and to let her know if there is anything else she can do for me. And to those who said she's thinking if the roles were reversed I wouldn't take care of her, you were right. That was another thought that came up. She said I will see her body fluids when she's pregnant and gives birth, would I not take care of her then? I said of course I will. In my head, she gave 9 months of her body to our child and I wouldn't take care of her, like what kind of guy would I be? I also thought, oh, she sees that far into the future with me. My heart wants to burst, y'all. We promised each other that we will improve our understanding of the other person's feelings, and that we will be there for each other no matter what, poop or no poop. My mom was not actively participating in all of this. It just so happened that she arrived at time to bring food, and she was the one my GF told her feelings to before leaving. By the way, we don't live together. I'm currently staying at my mom's house, but my GF is the one driving me to my physical therapy appointments before she goes to work and picks me up after, so I think she is doing more than enough. Plus I mentioned all the kisses and cuddles, right? I think this girl is the one. When we were talking, my heart felt so full. Thank you everyone for all your thoughts and comments. TLDR, we talked it out. Some of you were right. We're okay now. Edit. Thank you everyone to all the well-wishers and concerned and thoughtfully private messages. Just want to share that we are expecting my physical therapy to last for 3 months only and I should be good as new by then, fingers crossed. I just need to regain strength. I do believe I found the one and we will hold on to each other till the end. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. And do you throw Einerfmer take the following women to be your wife, to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, for poop wipes, and for non-poop wipes? Reply. I do. This is amazing, huh? Commenter 2. I poo. Stories number 14. My 23F boyfriend, 26M, hides his income from his family and it's hurting their view of me. How do I convince my boyfriend to reconsider? My boyfriend made a lot of money on meme stocks during the pandemic and as a result has the financial freedom to do things he is passionate about rather than things he has to. He is finishing up a theology PhD and having the time of his life. We've traveled together to places all over Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. He also coaches high school basketball during the season, which he loves. His parents think he is wasting his time not going to law or medical school. He is going to a very big name university on the East Coast, so they give him a pass on that. But they think he coaches basketball because of me, played in college, but he has been a fan since he was a kid and they know that. They see my Instagram of our travel pics and some of the gifts he's gotten me and think I'm bleeding a grad student on a PhD stipend dry when in reality his dividends alone are 6 figures. His sisters send him care packages with food because they think he will starve to death spending all his money on me. I've asked him to tell his family it's not true, and that he is well enough off, and he says that it would cause more problems because his extended family has fought over money before. I really want a good relationship with his family because I see us going the distance. But he says that they will love me if he loves me, and I'm not seeing it yet. How do I get him to see that I actually care about what they think of me and that they see me as a bad influence and a gold digger of a PhD student? Stories number 15. AIO for wanting to break up over this. Hey there. I am traveling internationally, and I just had a situation with my boyfriend that I think is a deal breaker. Am I overreacting? He was having a bad day because someone hair salon ripped him off. When he came in the hotel to meet me, he said he was pissed about the salon, but he did something to make it better. This is where he lost me. In his cab home, he found a designer wallet in the back of the cab. I thought, oh, he did a good deed and that made it better. I was wrong. He plans on pawning it for $200 to $300 when we get back to the US. It had a US ID, credit cards, service dog card, and student cards in it. I told him that it was wrong to steal and he claimed the finder's rule and that it was his now. I cannot stop thinking about this girl who is now in a foreign country with no credit or debit card or license because the person who found their wallet stole it. I told him I was going to find her, started reaching out to people with her name, and planned to give the IDs to the local police to help. Meanwhile, he doubled down and said I can go ahead but I better not mention the wallet because that is his now. I can't believe his integrity can be bought for $300. For context, he makes over 6 figures and has no financial issues. He was even talking about buying a 5-figure watch soon. This behavior is despicable to me based on how I was raised, and my radar is going off non-stop now. We live together, and I feel silly for not noticing the differences in our ethics sooner. Am I overreacting for changing my entire perception on my relationship over this one action that has nothing to do with me? Stories number 16. AITBA for refusing to make my brother a grief lasagna because I was on a date. I, 26F, have a brother, Sam, 28M, who just went through a rough breakup. Like, his girlfriend took the dog, the Instant Pot, and his dignity, that kind of breakup. I feel for him, truly. But also, I have a life. So here's what went down. Last Saturday night, I was on a date. Not just any date, this was date number 3 with a guy who didn't say, let's circle back, or crypto, in the first 10 minutes, which, in my dating life, is basically the holy grail. We're mid-sushi when I get a barrage of texts from Sam. The gist: dude, I need your grief lasagna. Like now. Emergency. Let me pause. Grief lasagna is something I made once when our cat died. It's literally just lasagna, but I layered it with love, cheese, and enough emotional support that he now thinks it has healing properties. He calls it therapy with ricotta. I texted back something supportive like, I'm on a date but I'll make you a lasagna tomorrow, and I thought that was that. Nope. He proceeds to call me 3 times, sends a crying selfie, and drops a passive-aggressive, guess I know who I can count on, text. All because I wouldn't bail on a promising date to go full Garfield chef mode. After the date, which, by the way, went great until my phone sounded like a nuclear alarm, I check my phone again and I've got a message from our mother, saying, you know he's sensitive. He just needs comfort food. You could have been there for him, ma'am. He is 28. He has DoorDash. He has hands. He knows how to preheat an oven. I made the lasagna the next day, but now he's being weird and passive-aggressive, and my mom told my aunt, who now thinks I abandoned him in his time of emotional need, and I'm getting side-eyed at family brunch like I stole a kidney. So, Reddit, am I the bad apple for not dropping everything to make my grown brother a pan of grief carbs? TLDR, my brother wanted my signature emotional support lasagna mid-breakup, but I was on a hot date. Didn't make it immediately. Now he's mad, mom's guilt-tripping me, and I'm being treated like a sociopath at family brunch. Aita, let me know if you want to include a spicy update, a wild family cast list, or the full lasagna recipe that started this mess. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I wonder if his immature behavior has anything to do with the reasons his girlfriend broke up with him. Thinking face. Reply. Definitely. Sam has been coddled a lot of his life, we've had a conversation and he's going to work on himself before getting a girlfriend. We will see how that goes. Commenter 2. Yes, sorry, he's the golden child. Top comments. Commenter 1. Tell him you'll make him lasagna to celebrate when he grows up. Sheesh. Commenter 2. Yes. Grow up lasagna. Bing cheery. Puberty pasta. Edit, am I the bad apple for not dropping everything to make my brother a grief lasagna? Hey again, thanks for all the comments, laughs, and mild judgment. Y'all really came through. Since this happened last week I already have an update, so thought I may as well share since we have some lovely comments. I ended up talking to Sam. He admitted he overreacted but said the lasagna just comforts him. Like, emotionally. I guess I accidentally created a cheesy trauma support system. I told him I love him, but I'm not dropping a good third date to play barefoot Contessa every time he gets dumped. We're cool now. I brought him a fresh lasagna the next day and he texted, "This slaps. I forgive you." So. Brothers. As for the date, yes, Evan, date guy, is still around. When I explained the whole grief lasagna meltdown situation, he laughed and said, "That's honestly adorable in a weird way." He even asked to try it. So I might be cooking it again soon, but like, on purpose this time. Maybe for our next date. And for the curious, here's the not-so-magic recipe. Ingredients. For the meat sauce, 1 pound ground beef, you can also mix pork and beef for extra flavor, 1 onion, finely chopped 2 cloves garlic, minced 1 can, 28 ounces, crushed tomatoes 1 can, 6 ounces, tomato paste 1/2 cup red wine, optional, but it adds depth, 1 tablespoon sugar, to balance acidity. 1 tablespoon dried basil, 1 teaspoon dried oregano, salt and pepper to taste, 1/4 teaspoons red pepper flakes, optional, for a little heat. For the bechamel, white sauce 4 tablespoons butter, 4 tablespoons all-purpose flour, 2 cups whole milk, warmed, 1/4 teaspoons nutmeg, optional, but adds a nice depth, salt and pepper to taste. For the lasagna, 12 lasagna sheets, regular or no boil, but if using regular, cook according to package directions, 16-ounce ricotta cheese, 2 cups shredded mozzarella cheese, 1 cup grated Parmesan cheese, 1 egg, fresh basil, optional, for garnish. Eat when sad. Or hungry. Or when your brother acts like you abandoned him in the middle of an emotional tornado. Anyway, thanks for validating that I'm not a monster. Just a woman who wanted one single date night without a pasta-based breakdown. Stories number 17. AITA for saying I want to divorce my wife over things she did and comments she made while drunk. Hi all. I, 24M, and my wife, 26F, have been going through issues recently. She hasn't been having a great time as her father is passing at the moment and I've been supportive 100% of the way through. She recently confided on me that she just felt the need to unwind and wanted to just relax with a drink, which I was happy to fulfill. She asked if I was alright with inviting some mutual friends of ours, which albeit I didn't fully want to, but hey, whatever would make her happy, right? Wrong. I invited our friends and it all started alright, but my wife started getting a bit heavy on the drinks. I tried to gently persuade her to stop drinking but she wasn't having it and pushed me away. I eventually gave up on stopping her and just kept quiet for a while. After she poured herself a few more glasses, she started to get quite giddy and exited. I wasn't paying much mind as it wasn't really my place to step in and stop her having fun. She got up from her chair and started walking towards me with her arms out. I went to open mine too to have what I assumed was a hug, but she walked straight past me to one of our friends sat on my sofa right behind me. She happily sat herself down suggestively on his lap, and began her whole monologue of, "Oh, woe is me, my dad is dying and I'm just so sad, and I want my husband to do well in bed to make up for my sadness but he can't." I was stunned. I quite literally could not believe what I was hearing. The friend wasn't particularly happy to be stuck in the situation either, but I'm quite annoyed he didn't push her away or something before she kept going. She then went on for about 10 consecutive minutes about how I'm horrendous as not only a partner, but as a friend and how I can't ever perform in bed to her standards. I didn't want her to keep going as I knew I'd had some issues to do with it before and she was probably just speaking her mind. But then the real gut punch came. She said, "To be honest, I think my dying dad would give me a better time than him." I slowly got up and walked out of the room. As soon as I was gone, I just broke down and started sobbing. It was the worst feeling I've ever had. I went and crashed at my brother's house for the night, and I woke up to about 10 missed calls and nearly 100 messages. When I opened my phone and read through it, she kept apologizing about what she did and begged me to come home. About halfway through the barrage of messages, she began berating me and calling me a villain, and saying that she was just having a hard time and the alcohol just got to her. I went home and walked past my wife to get the rest of my things that I hadn't brought to my brother's, and told her I wanted a divorce. She started bawling her eyes out and begged me not to, and started promising she'd be better and how she would never betray me or our love like that again. I wanted to stay and believe her but the words from the night before stung badly, and reminded me why I left in the first place. I kept packing and left, and now that I'm sat down with time to reflect, I wonder if I'm the asshole, or if I took it too far. Stories number 18. I went to a concert, and the smell was me. Probably the only place I will ever say this. Not using a throwaway because I hate myself, I guess. Last night my friend and I went to a concert an hour away. We got there early and decided to get something to eat. We shared some spicy Korean fried chicken and a panini. We get to the concert, and about an hour in, I thought the smell, a straight-up sausage and bell peppers smell, was my friend burping or something. A little while later, the smell comes again. I'm confused. We were talking, she didn't burp, so I'm like, okay, someone else around is probably burping or literally eating bell peppers LMAO. The smell was so random and brief, but so consuming. Time passes, the smell appears once more, she says something along the lines of, I keep smelling bell peppers, and I'm like, oh my god, me too. We had a laugh when we were able to finally hear one another leaving the theater, and head home. All is well. Writing this now, the day after. The smell was me. I just farted, and yeah. I was shocked LMAO. Spicy food can upset my stomach sometimes, and TBH I don't think I even fully noticed I was slipping out farts at the function because I was so overwhelmed, and when I did discreetly let one out I did not imagine it was that smell somehow. So yeah. Went to a concert, goofed on the potential gassy queen. I was the gassy queen all along. Edit, to clarify, since you guys wanna be mean LMAO, I didn't convey what I meant well, so there's a clear misunderstanding. I do not have a loose butthole, I was not thinking clearly because I was overstimulated, so whatever my body was doing was like second tier unconscious from being in fight or flight mode when I tell you I truly was so sure it could not be me, even if I knew I was accidentally farting. Literally unable to hold it in anymore, my brain was just dissociated so I wasn't putting two and two together, which sounds dumb, I'm aware, but it's what happened LMAO. Also I have never farted such a smell in my life, it legit just smelled like food or a burp I guess. 2. I know bell peppers aren't spicy, I never said they were. I said the fried chicken I ate was. I didn't even eat bell peppers. I have no idea how my fart smelled like that. 3. The smarty farties who are being bummers in the communal fart chat, I hope you go to fart and it's poop. 4. I love everyone commenting their fart stories, y'all are so cool. Stories number 19. Neighbor is acting erratically over me building a fence in the front of my house. We used to get along great with our next door neighbor. For context, she is an older Polish woman who lives alone and is very OCD about her grass. She will pick up leaves as they fall down from the tree and pick up leaves off her grass even if it rained. Anyways, she has a front fence that she didn't run all down her property line. She stopped it at the front so her whole right side of her home is exposed next to ours. Then picked up the fence when her backyard begins. We had more than a few times where strangers would enter the side of our house and actually try and enter our home. So my husband decided to put up a front fence. At the time my neighbor was redoing her backyard fence and she knew my husband also wanted to do his backyard fence, so she recommended her guy. As she followed up to see if my husband called the guy to get the work, my husband told her that he did and that he also asked the guy for a quote for the front as well. She immediately lost it. Since then she has been acting so crazy. It started with her calling the alderman and she wrongfully accused us of taking her land. The alderman came and spoke with us and sided with me and my husband. The problem is that she wants to use our front walkway that's on the side of our house to access her right side of her property. The side that she didn't fence, so she fenced herself out and has always just went on our property to access her side. She's mad cause with our fence she can't just walk in and go to her side of her house anymore. We told her we would give her a key and she said no. Since she accused us of stealing her land, we didn't feel comfortable about allowing her to come and go off our property anymore, but she didn't care. She called a handyman to install a security camera and he worked on our side of the property and she didn't ask. I asked the guy to please inform her for any future work she will need to ask us for permission before she enters our property. The security camera was to watch us because she was so paranoid we would build a fence. This Saturday we had the company begin work and she totally lost it. She harassed the workers telling them to stop work and she was accusing us of stealing land. She threatened to report them to the city and to call the inspector on us. My husband had to stay outside with guys as they worked, and when he went in she would come back out and harass them. Then she called the police. 4 police cars came. I don't know what she told them, but it was not the truth because the cops sided with us and told her to stay inside and not bother us. Then Sunday she paces looking at our fence posts staring. She looked at our fence posts like 10 times on Sunday and then she was pacing our backyard and we have her on camera just staring and pacing and starting in. So creepy. Then Monday she is walking and starting again and she stops one of our neighbors and starts complaining to him about our fence right in front of our house. She continues pacing and staring through the day. Then later that Monday a guy comes and she walks him to our house and he starts looking at our posts. My husband came out this time and asked the guy who his was and why he was interested in looking at our property. He told us that he is a realtor and a good friend of hers and he came because she called him telling him that we stole her property from her and accused us of putting posts on her property, which was all lies. We immediately showed him our proof and he agreed with us and tried to mediate with her, explaining that we are legally able to build and that she can extend her fence so she is not blocked out. She just said no, and didn't want to do that. So my husband just left. We made sure everything was recorded. Then today, she came outside and stared at our property again, just pacing. She did the same in the backyard. Then she went to the front and started flagging down neighbors who she never talks to and starts to complain about our fence, calling us bad people and that we are stealing her land. She is acting so malicious. What do I do? It's crazy. Update: so I called the police to see what she accused us of on Saturday. They said that she alleged we were encroaching on her property and blocking her egress. The claim was noted as false by the police. Here's a rough drawing of me and my neighbor's property. Hopefully it helps better visualize. Drawing of property. Update: it snowed and the neighbor came out with her hair curlers in her hair and her pajamas and slippers, no jacket, so she was in some hurry and went to the front of our house to stare while she was on the phone. Not sure what information she needed from staring at our posts, maybe she needed our address. Looks like she's trying to call someone else on us. She is straight loosing it as she knows the fence will be completed as soon as weather is better. Relevant comments. OOP clarifies the drawing of the fences and has added a picture for the better visuals. Reply: sorry, yes, the drawing isn't the greatest. But to help explain, she has a 6-foot iron fence in the front of her property. It goes all the way down the left side of her house, but on the right side she stopped the fence at the beginning of her house and curved it in. So it leaves the right side of her house not fenced all the way until the end of her house. She then continues the fence and curves it in when her garage begins. Here's a picture to help. She is upset because with our front fence she can't go on our property to get to her side. Every day she is out staring and calling people to her house to look at it and complain. Commenter 1: how old is she? Should Adult Protective Services be notified of her sudden erratic behavior? Reply: she has to be about 70 to 80 years old. I thought about calling Adult Protective Services too, but I'm not sure. I'm kinda on the fence. I'm waiting to see if she persists and if she does anything else. But I do believe her behavior now is just weird. Commenter 2: I don't think it would be a bad idea to consider. Dementia escalates out of nowhere. One day someone can be very amenable. The next, raging over perceived slights like a lunatic. Does she have any family that looks in on her that could intervene? She's been told by multiple authorities that she is in the wrong, yet she persists with this troubling behavior. Reply: thank you for that information. It seems like it could be happening to her. She doesn't have much family. Just one sister who visits sometimes and her son that lives in Poland. I fear if I report her she will do something vindicatively and make a false report to DCFs about our children. I wouldn't put it past her because she keeps lying. She told us her tenant hit her once and we believed her, so we called the police. The police came and left basically, and it turns out she just wanted to kick them out cause they didn't pay rent. She then ended up pretending to sell her house to get them out. OOP should get a land survey done to make sure everything is on her property. Reply: yes, we have. Everything is 100% on our property. Yes, 100% our property. Her new back fence is actually a few cm on our property and her left side fence is leaning over to her neighbors. She is actually stealing property. She is accusing us of things she is doing. We have a survey done, our fence is on our property. That's why she can't claim that. She is now claiming we are stealing her land because she fenced herself out from her side that is about 13 inches of land that has a bunch of rocks. She could run her fence down, especially when she redid her back fence this summer, but she chose not to. She just doesn't want us to have a fence cause she has been going on our property for years to get to hers, so she feels entitled and she likes being able to get work done in the side of her house without asking us. We never said anything cause we had a good relationship with her before, but looking back we should have set boundaries earlier. She was clearly taking advantage and acting like she owned our property. Commenter 3: does she have another way to get in her house? She can go in her front gate. Or what? Seems like cheaper to build a gate in her own property than all these cameras etc. Reply: yeah, she has her own front entrance and her own front fence. There is no door and nothing but rocks and 13 inches of property that's not fenced. She complains she doesn't have the money, but she built a whole new back fence. She just doesn't want to because she won't have enough space to fit on the side and have people do work. OOP on having security cameras around her house. Reply, yes, we have cameras. That's how we are able to catch all her creepy behaviors. We tried and avoid her, we just watch from our cameras to make sure she doesn't go on our property. When our concrete posts were first put in, she went outside to rake the grass in front and was doing it so violently it was weird, and then she goes and rakes at our cement on our property. She is so angry. Then we ask her to not come by our property and she goes, leave me alone, you bother me please. She says that in front of the neighbors to try and play victim, but she's the one starting all the problems. I told my husband record all convos and stay in view of camera when you talk to her. OOP on why she asked the company to relay a message to the neighbor. Reply, yes, because her main language is Polish. She speaks very limited English. Luckily our fence company's workers all speak Polish including the owner. What's crazy is she's had it explained in her language multiple times too and she still just says, no, or nie, in Polish. I'm actually learning a little now, trying to figure out how to effectively communicate the message, but everyone who speaks with her says she is crazy. Even the Polish police officer who was talking with her said she is crazy. OOP filing a harassment claim. Reply, I'm pretty sure I will file a harassment claim. I'm willing to give her one more chance. She does anything else and I will do it. I have so much video of her doing everything I describe. Even audio recordings too. I need to be extra careful cause she is a liar. She is getting so desperate she is now making a claim that a post that is on her property in the alley was put there by my husband and she wants him to remove it. My husband showed Google Map pictures proving that post has been there before we bought the property. We bought it in 2018, and it's been there for 20 years. It's all rusted too. Keep in mind she has lived here for 30 years, so she knows she was lying. She is literally looking for anything even if she has to lie. Me and my husband were parking in front and was watching from her window with the phone in her hand. OOP on why she asked when the neighbor thinks OOP was stealing her property. Reply, from what I gather, because she speaks mainly Polish and we have people translating usually, she believes that because we are building our front fence she can no longer walk down our property to go to the side of her house. The side of her house is 13 inches and a bunch of rocks. She likes to clean the leaves and to dig a moat to move snow so it's not touching the side of her house. Keep in mind she could have put a fence straight down but she chose not to because she needs to be on our property to even fit on the space. Had she fenced all the way down she would have to squeeze through and couldn't bend down or dig out her moat. Now in the beginning we were considerate of her feelings and that's why we offered her a key to go and come as she pleased to do what she needs on the side, but she said no and started calling everyone on us to try and make our fence project stop. She also has a front yard fence on the other side of her house. She completely fenced her neighbor off from the side of his house. He can't get any work done cause her fence is right up to his side of his house. She only cares about herself and I was too nice to worry about even considering her in the first place. If at any point she wants to atches to clean or do what she needs we would allow her to pass there, so what she is so mad about we don't want it. In fact we want to put a fence straight down our line just to make that point clear. OOP's location on where this is taking place. Reply, I am in IL but not Evanston. I'm more in the city. But Evanston is not far from me. Update, our fence has been up for a week and a half. The neighbor surprisingly did not bother the workers when they put the panels up. I was so surprised, so that's why I didn't really do an update because I was like okay. This is over. Finally she must have come to her senses. Yeah, I was wrong. On Tuesday I was coming home from picking up my child from school and some man ran out his car and shouted if I was the owner of the home. I asked who he was and he stated he was from the city building in code enforcement while also briefly flashing his ID at me. I then proceeded to tell him that I am the owner and why was he here. He stated that he received a complaint about a building violation and that our fence is too tall and we must cut it down from 6 feet to 5 feet. Keep in mind my neighbor's fence is taller than ours by the way. I told the inspector that 3 licensed contractors that we contacted all informed us we didn't need a permit, but that if they were wrong we would gladly comply of course and or apply for the needed permit. He stated that there is no possible way the city would approve it. And I told him we will work with the city and find a solution. We don't want to cut corners and want to do it right. My husband then comes out and gets informed on what's going on, and then my husband asks the inspector for his email or business card so we can follow up and work together to fix it. The guy refused to give us any card or email to follow up with him. He told my husband all the information is on the city website, why do you need my information for? He was very rude. I know how to talk with people, so I told him. Look, I get you come across a lot of people who argue back and give you a hard time, so you're on guard, but I assure you we don't want to argue and we want to fix this issue. He then calmed down and told us he has kids too and he understand why we need a fence etc. he then told us he would give us 48 hours to get a permit and then he left. Once I got home I reviewed the camera footage and the inspector entered our property and did not ring the doorbell to try and speak with us. He just trespassed and was walking around looking at our property. He didn't measure anything. Nothing. So I began to get suspicious. I then remembered when my neighbor threatened us and the workers saying she had an inspector friend and she was gonna report us. On top of that, why didn't the inspector want to give me any information to follow up? So weird. Then he tells me to get a permit in 48 hours. He didn't even tell me which one. And if he said the city would not approve it, why didn't he tell me to apply in 48 hours? Things just seemed off. So then I went to do my research. I contacted my alderman's office and asked for assistance in applying for a permit. I wanted to make sure we did the right steps. After we apply for our permit, I asked the representative if they could look up the complaint for me because the interaction with the inspector seemed suspicious. She agreed and looks up the report. There was a report made 17 days ago by our neighbor, before our fence panels were up, that our fence was not on our property line. The report said nothing about fence height. She also told me there was no inspector assigned to the case and that it was still open pending investigation, so that's weird. Maybe he was legit and didn't update the case, but it's all not adding up. So the alderman agrees this is weird and states that they are going to get someone from downtown involved to speak with my neighbor because she is harassing us and it's just too much. The report she made was false. Our fence posts are on our property lines. We have our plat survey that proves all of this. In addition to all the other things listed in my other Reddit post that she has done. So today I'm just minding my own business like I usually do and I get a notification on my camera. I see someone sticking their hand through my fence pointing at my back and moving down my fence repeatedly doing the same thing. So I go outside and calmly ask the women, do you have any questions about my fence that I can help you with? I see that you're sticking your hand through and pointing. She tells me, I'm your neighbor down the block. I was just speaking with your next door neighbor and she has a problem with your fence. I let her know that the neighbor's claims are bogus and that we now have a permit for the height of our fence and I have a survey of our property proving we are on our property line. I told her that the neighbor is crazy and if she has any concerns to please speak with me. As I turn I see my neighbor in her bushes by her door. She was outside the whole time and stopped the neighbor as she was walking her dog to complain about our fence and spread false claims again. Then the neighbor leaves and immediately stands and stares at our house looking at the permit displayed on our front door. This is getting crazy. And I really didn't want to do tit for tat. But I reported her illegal basement apartment. Which is not a false allegation because her zoning does not allow for a basement apartment. She also does not have 2 entrances. I really didn't want to do it, but she is really pushing me to become a person I don't want to be. I want this all to be over already. Praying she can finally understand reality soon. I will update if anything else happens. Does anyone speak Polish that can translate an audio file for me? It's between the neighbor, my husband, and the crazy neighbor. Additional information from OOP who has received the translation of the audio file. Reply, I got the translation. Here it is if you're interested. Women, is my crazy neighbor man, is her realtor friend she called over to look at my house and complain. It looks like he was trying to actually help us and she was getting mad at him. He was mostly trying to mediate with her, allowing us to close the back fence that has always been closed for over 20 years, but now that she is mad she is not allowing us to close it because she owns a couple inches of property next to her garage that is unfenced and open to our property, so in order to close it off from the alley we need to close it on her few inches of property or else someone can slip through. Easily. She is just using that as leverage. Doesn't matter to us, we can just fence it straight down our property if we have to, and she will have awkward fenced-in boxes on the side of her house and she can't get in. Makes no sense. She is just using that as leverage cause it's all she has. That's the backstory on the back LOL and below in the transcript. Woman, it's mine. Man, yeah but you use this. M, the rats were running in front of the garage. W, he should catch those rats. M, okay, today. W, curses, I'm sorry, the rats were running. M, does it bother you? Why? W, yes it bothers me and, he, will destroy it. Because he is so mean and, it, will. M, but he asked you and you agreed. W, no, nobody talked to me about it. They just put up the fence. W, cries, Jesus, no. M, and now what's bothering you? That it'll be open or that it'll be closed. W, what that? M, so if he closes it and puts, something, it'll be safer for you and for him. W, but it's mine. M, why does that bother you? W, it bothers me because I'll have the entrance there. M, where? W, from that side. M, but from that side you blocked the entrance yourself. W, I'm going home because it's too cold. Are we going? M, wait a second. W, no, I don't want to talk to him. I'll talk to someone else. I'm going to go to the city hall. M, what do you want them to do? to put here. I'll to sort this out. I'm not giving up. To be honest, I'll tell you, I live in a building far from the downtown and I've done something to my neighbors too. They have something near their house. But why are you talking to them? You came to see me. You know what, I think you could stand your ground, but it doesn't make sense because he. Yeah, I'll stand my ground and he will do the same. You know what? Nobody asks me for my permission and do what they want. He said that he asked for permission. You know what, I'm sane. But why do you need the entrance to the garage from this side? They did everything, nobody asked me, it's mine. But you should look and see what you did to the neighbors, something with the entrance. This have been like this since the beginning, do you remember? But today someone could come to you and tell you to take down something. Then I'll take it down. That would satisfy you. You know what, I'm going home. If I were you I would let him to do that thing. And I won't. But it'll be safer and he will put a fence here. No. So you will have. No, nobody asked me and I won't allow it, so, I'm going home, I'm cold. I'll go with you soon. You shouldn't be the one sorting this out. Relevant comments. OOP on the suspicious inspector who stopped by the house with the badge. Reply, he had a badge he flashed really quickly but he came in a personal car. He also didn't ring the doorbell. He just came and looked around and then went to sit in his car about to leave until he saw me parking and walking in. In regards to the fence, we did look it up, if the fence is 6 foot tall it must be 80% see-through. Which ours is. But we went ahead and got the permit anyways. I looked up the permits on my neighbor's house as well as her zoning and she is 100% renting an illegal basement. Yeah, people working for the city can be rude in general. What really made me suspicious is no contact info. No proper information. No citation. Like, how do we follow up? He told us we don't need a permit for a 5-foot fence, so we need to cut ours down, but then told us to get a permit. Either he didn't know what he was doing or maybe in some way he was trying to help us out towards the end. Is it common practice to not give any info about a violation and no contact info to follow up? Even my alderman said he should have given us his business card and a notice of a violation. We'll see if he comes back. He also came in a personal car too. Exactly. That's why I was so confused. He told us we had to cut our fence down to 5 feet because we don't need a permit for that and then told us to get a permit. Like, why are we getting a permit? Especially when he said the city wouldn't approve it. I left that interaction so confused. OOP on the neighbor kicking up a fuss over the fence. Reply, she is mad because she can't walk through our property to reach the side of her house. Long story short, she closed herself off with her fence. And always just walked on our property around her fence to get to her side. We offered her a key at first, just trying to be good neighbors. But now she will have to fix her fence and run it down because she is causing too much trouble over a problem she created by her own fence. Yes. She is just upset cause she lived here 30 years and somehow that means she can use our property whenever she wants and we were nice enough to not even care. Then we want to put up a fence to protect our family and property and now we are the bad guys. OOP on drawing a cease and desist letter through her attorney for the neighbor. Reply, my husband is already in the works with this. Seems to be the best option at this point. I agree, that's why we are kinda using it as a last resort. I don't believe she is rich by any means, and again I don't wish her harm no matter how annoying she may be. I just need her to understand that we are not doing anything illegal. All her accusations have been proven false and she still keeps accusing us. I feel like it's a matter of she thinks since she has been here longer she has the say of what goes on, nothing else makes sense. She is full of hatred and it's disgusting. The other day, I have this on video, she walked by and spit on my fence post. Like what? Then today she is sticking her hand through the backyard fence and ripping pieces of our grass out. I have all this on video too. Like, the level of hate you need to have for someone to do these petty things is crazy, and we never disrespected her, we got along great with her for years. All that changed is we informed her we were building a front fence and she immediately changed. OOP on the illegal basement apartment the neighbor was renting. Reply, she rents the basement. We discussed all solutions, she refused all. Our contractor offered to give her a quote on the swinging gate for her side but she said no. She is dead set on us just not having a front fence. It's sad that there are people out there that are this unreasonable. We are going above and beyond to try and reason with her but she is just being malicious. Today she called over someone who was walking their dog and proceeded to touch our fence and tell them lies again. My husband had to go out and politely just make it clear that we are not taking her property. We don't engage unless she touches our property and today she did. Again, She keeps acting like we are bothering her and she is some poor old helpless lady whenever we go out to explain and tell people the truth. They shouldn't also be touching our property. If they were talking by her property I wouldn't care what they say, but they make it my problem. They touch my gate and start sticking their hands through. Stories number 20. I told my stepdaughter I love her and think of her as my daughter. I met my wife 10 years ago. She had a 4-year-old daughter from her previous relationship. We ended up getting married and having 2 kids together. Since I knew my stepdaughter we have always gotten along good, but I never thought she had seen me as a father figure. Her own father is a complete deadbeat full of broken promises. He hurt SD and my wife countless times over the years. SD always tried to have a relationship with him while her father never put in any effort. He broke many promises and it really hurt SD. This year is SD's first year of high school. She's on the tennis team and is doing really great, also doing great in school. She had been trying to get her father to come to a tennis match for a month. I guess he finally agreed to come to her match last night. She played great but he wasn't there. It put SD in a bad mood and was upset the rest of the night. Late last night I was the only one up just watching TV. SD came downstairs for a glass of water. I told her I was proud of her. She shrugged and said thanks. I then told her I had known her majority of her life. That I've seen her grown in every way possible. That I know I'm not her father, but I'll always be around for support and guidance. That I have always considered her to be my daughter, that I love her so much and am proud of the person she is becoming. I didn't know how SD would react. She just hugged me and cried for a while. Said she loved me too. This just happened last night but I already feel a shift in our relationship. Just wanted to share a sweet moment on Reddit. Stories number 21. AITA for not inviting any of my family to my wedding and replying that I knew they'd be too busy when questioned about why. I, 27F, am the youngest in a family of 5. My siblings are 10 plus years older than me. We're all full siblings too. I was the accidental pregnancy that happened when my parents were done having kids. I have often questioned if because I was accidental pregnancy, they never really wanted me and therefore we've ended up here. But of course nobody ever said that to my face. That's just where my brain goes. There is a repeated pattern of everyone having plans or being busy when it's my birthday or something important happens in my life. With my siblings I understand more. We were never close and they never pretended we were or that they cared. It's different with my parents. Some examples I can mention. I had a joint 16th birthday party with my best friend. I was 16 that Friday, she was 16 that Sunday and the party was Saturday. My best friend's parents paid for both of us. Even invited my whole family. My siblings never replied, which I took to mean no. My parents said they had other plans even though they never told me that before when I had asked them about the party. They never said it when I originally invited them either. They said my siblings would come to make up for it but they told our parents they had important jobs they couldn't get away from on a Saturday night. For my 18th birthday I invited them out to a family dinner. My siblings said they were all working that weekend. My dad said he was going to be in hospital after a procedure he never mentioned before and he didn't actually have in the end and he wasn't in the hospital, though he did go somewhere that night. My mom said she was visiting her sister and couldn't get away. None of them had other dates they could say they'd be free. My 21st was the same. Only my parents said they would come and they didn't. They all had medical dental stuff going on. My high school and college graduation were 2 events where everyone had medical appointments and could not reschedule to come. I started going to therapy a couple of years ago to help me navigate how I felt about everything. My original therapist was really good but she had to leave due to illness and I struggle with my current one. She has encouraged me to keep trying with my family and to always be open for them to return my efforts. She said it's important to never give up on family. I was reaching the end of my rope when my fiancé and I got engaged. Especially with how close I've become to my future MIL. I was talking to him about how I didn't know if I should invite them to our engagement party or wedding and how I didn't want to but a part of me felt like I had to because of the therapist. He suggested I make one more attempt by inviting them to the engagement party and if none of them show up, I can say I tried over the years and even gave them one more chance but I have to move on for my own peace of mind and our future kids. He said then we can get married knowing I had given them more chances than most would. Nobody showed up to our engagement party. Everyone had medical appointments from 8 p.m. until late on a Friday night. My whole family. Both parents, all 4 siblings and their partners and kids. I did what my fiancé suggested and decided I was done. It felt so good, still feels so good. But they found out invites went out and I was asked why they weren't invited or given info on the wedding. I told them I knew they would be too busy and didn't want to inconvenience them by having to explain all the important stuff going on in their lives that prevented them from coming to my wedding. There was some backlash from my texts before I blocked them. It felt good to be free. But then my therapist was saying my wedding was a big thing to not invite them to, and did I really want to close the door forever and be the kind of person who doesn't value family? For a while I have considered if I need a different therapist. My fiancé believes so from what he's heard from me. But I don't know if that's just because he's so protective of me or if the therapist is right and I'm being an ass and she's trying to stop me from being one. Stories number 22, Aita. My dad got a tattoo in the style of our matching tattoo with his new family, and now I want to get mine covered. My father, 41M, and my mother, 40F, divorced 3 years ago. I live with my mother. My father remarried a year ago. His wife has 2 children, 18F, 15M, me, 18F, and my dad got a matching tattoo 2 years ago. It was a simple outline tattoo of a photo of us. After my dad got married, things started to get a bit more distant between us because he started to spend more time with his new family. Besides that, I think he doesn't want to see me around them. I don't know why. After all, I've never treated his wife or stepchildren bad. Yesterday he refused to meet me on a weekend when we were supposed to spend time together, saying he was unavailable, and he reposted a story of him hanging out with his new family that. While looking at the photo I saw that he got a new tattoo on his arm. It was an outline tattoo of a photo of him with his new family, just like the tattoo he got with me. Now I know that millions of people have these tattoos and it's not my original design. Still, I'm disappointed that he got a tattoo with his new family in the same style as ours, because I always thought that tattoo was special between us. Now I'm thinking of getting it covered or removed. I called my dad in the evening and asked him why he was hanging out with his family instead of meeting me. He said they planned it earlier, which doesn't make sense because it was agreed in court after the divorce that I could spend time with my dad every weekend. So, we planned it earlier, is a pretty bullshit excuse. He also knows that I'm totally okay with spending time with his family. When I told him that, he said, it's not that simple. I guess I'm too dumb to understand complicated things because he doesn't even try to explain it, lol. Then I asked him why he got his new tattoo in the same style as ours. He said he didn't think it would be a problem for me. I told him, you broke something special between us, how can you not realize that? I think I'm going to get my tattoo covered. You can do the same. In result, he thinks I'm overreacting and I shouldn't be so selfish. My mom says what my dad did wasn't such a bad thing. She thinks we should sit down and talk. I'm not sure. Aita. Edit. Tomorrow I will try to talk to my dad face to face. I hope to discuss openly about whatever the issues are between us and find a way out. I don't think my mind will change about the tattoo, but I will not rush to get it covered. Thank you for your advice. If things go well, I will also try to write an update. Relevant comments. How did you get a tattoo at 16, and isn't the mandatory visit court order not in place anymore? Not all tattoo artists are very law-abiding. I turned 18 5 months ago, and of course the court order is no longer in force. This was our routine for 3 years. We didn't break it as soon as I became an adult, like, okay bye. I just assumed that we hung out together on the weekends unless I was told otherwise. More on how OOP feels what they did in the past. I never pushed him to meet every weekend for 3 years. When one of us had a reason, we didn't meet anyway or met another day. Still, if he's bored with this routine, I think he needs to tell me straight. Because it's heartbreaking when he just says he's busy and hangs out with his family and then just tells me, it's not that simple. And no, he didn't take much action to make up for the less attention he gave me after the marriage. There is no problem between him and my mom right now, they don't talk unless it's necessary. So I don't think he is moving away because of mom. It's also the saddest thing for me that he's enjoying life to the fullest now that I'm of legal age. Maybe I'm speaking emotionally, but it means that I'm a kind of prison for him. I don't want to think that he's been spending time with me because he has to. I will talk to him. If he wants to move on to a new chapter of his life and give me less scene there, he must say it clearly. Thank you so much. Separate comment to the same commenter. BTW, it is very difficult for me to change my mind about tattoo because aesthetics is not really an excuse. There were so many tat that he could have done without ruining the aesthetics of his body. It's so okay to get one for his family, but I think he could have done it without messing something special between the two of us. Have there been issues with the other 18-year-old now in your dad's family? How about your new stepmom? We haven't really spent enough time together to have an issue. His wife is generally kind to me, but I don't know if she thinks bad about me. Update. This morning we had breakfast together and had a long talk. It turned out that the problem all this time was my stepsister. He told me that she was struggling with the whole marriage. The reason he got the tattoo was to show her that he loves her as much as he loves me. He also said that she didn't feel at ease around me, which I was really surprised about. We hadn't fought once, and we hadn't even been together long enough to have any disagreements. That's why he didn't invite me that day. He wanted to be a good father figure in her life. Still, he said that I might get closer to my stepsider in time, who knows when. He also said I can get my tattoo covered if I want, but he would never do that to his. For him, the tat still has the same special meaning. Honestly, it would really make me feel like an to get mine covered while he keeps his. I'm not sure what to do. Lastly, the hardest thing for me was finding out that they were moving to another state. His wife got a better paying job and he's going to start a business with a friend there. He told me that he will be very busy with all the moving, but will spend as much time with me as possible until he moves. He also promised to visit me often after the move, which I don't think he'll be able to keep. I guess he's really moving into a part of his life where I'm not in it, and there's not much I can do about it. Thank you all. Update 2. Today my stepbrother replied to my story and we started talking. I told him about the latest things and he told me a lot of things I didn't know. He said that it's true his sister doesn't feel at ease around me, but she never said anything to my dad about not inviting me. In fact, her discomfort isn't so great that she couldn't stand to be in the same place with me. It was my stepmother who asked him not to invite me that day. And she came up with the whole idea of the tattoo. He said his mom doesn't like my mom at all. He's not sure if this is based on something or not. When I asked my mom about it, she said she never met that woman even once. I think her dislike for me comes from her baseless hatred for my mom and my dad played along with her. Also, I didn't mention here, but my dad told me they are moving in November. My stepbrother told me they are moving next week and that was the plan all along. He told me he is sorry for what happened to me and only told me these because he thought I had to know the truth. He also asked me not to let his mom know about this conversation. My dad wasn't really like that, he was a good man. I mean, all those lies, cutting me out of his life, that's not like him. I don't understand why he turned into such a person, but I really don't want to talk to him once more to get it. He's moving away next week anyway. I told my mom about this and asked her to call my dad, tell him that I would never see him again. My mother passed this on to him without mentioning the conversation. I also blocked my dad from everywhere. Soon I will get the tattoo covered. Love you. Update post 3. Title, Matching Tattoo Update. I took a great revenge on my dad. No. Hi, I just log into this ACCT and see people asking how I'm doing. Love, I want to give a little update but it's not too cheerful. My dad really moved away that September, just before that he came to our house to talk but I couldn't confront him. Still I broke no contact. We ended up talking on the phone many times, he promised a lot that he would make things right between us, he would come to visit me and he didn't keep any of it. 2 weeks ago I stopped talking to him again. I've also been going to therapy since the new year. It's not only for my dad, I have other problems too. My therapist is really nice and she helps me a lot. Apart from all this, my life is actually pretty good, I have my mom and friends who are there for me. Lastly, I kept the tattoo. I couldn't make a final decision about what to do and I think it will stay like that for some time. I don't think I'll be posting another update later so please take care. 3333333333333. Relevant comment. Commenter, hope you're doing well and hopefully give us an update a few years later. Reply, I don't think I'll have an interesting life in a few years, but I'll try to give an update, promise, smiley face. Commenter, do you have any plans on covering it up? Reply, still not sure. To another commenter, I'm thinking of getting different tattoo with my mom. Still not sure if I want to cover the one with my dad. New update post 4. Hey, this account randomly popped into my head and when I logged in I saw that some people still message me for an update. First off, the fact that I'm back here a year later kinda tells you life hasn't been super smooth, lol. It's been a year full of mistakes. I failed some classes in college, got fired from my part-time job, and me and my roommate are struggling to pay rent. And yeah, I moved out. My relationship with my mom is still great, nothing new there. As for my dad, some of you, the 3 people reading this, are probably gonna be mad but I'm talking to him. It's hard to explain if you haven't met him but he's kinda one of those people who just has something about them. No matter how mad you are, he somehow finds a way back into your life. Still a terrible dad, like really bad, but not gonna lie he did help a little this year. I asked him for money like 4 or 5 times and he sent it twice, haha. The business he said he was gonna start is actually doing pretty well. I follow their Insta page and I even made a few reels for them. One of them got over 100k views. I didn't get paid or anything but he complimented me. It's kinda embarrassing to admit but my relationship with my dad is low-key like a drug. When he says something nice it makes me happy, but then he always ends up doing something that pisses me off again. I don't know how long this weird cycle will go on but for now I guess I'm okay with it. And I feel guilty for even saying that. By the way, he said we might see each other in person this summer. Like just the two of us going on a little vacation for a week or something. I don't really believe it's gonna happen, but still a promise is a promise. Maybe it will, ick. Also, I don't talk to my step-siblings. Not in a dramatic way or anything. We just kinda naturally stopped communicating, not that we talked much anyway. Honestly, I don't really feel like reaching out. I hear stuff about them from my dad sometimes. I pretend to care, but it goes in one ear and out the other. No clue what my dad's wife is up to either. He doesn't bring her up and I don't ask. About the tattoo, it's still there. Turns out covering or removing a tattoo isn't as easy as it sounds. I'm not even a tattoo person, tbh. If I could go back, even if things were good with my dad, I wouldn't have gotten it. I think I'm just gonna leave it for now unless they invent some pain-free 5-minute removal tech, lol. I know this probably isn't the kinda update most people, again the same 3 people, were hoping for, but I'm not a movie character. Life's messy. Love you all. Stories number 23. AITA for losing my mind because my wife keeps lying about passing gas. I can't believe I'm even writing this right now. The answer is so obvious to me, but I feel like I'm being manipulated. But I don't see why. I, 36M, have been with my wife, C, 35F, for a decade. Everything is great, she's my best friend, we have fun together, and she's my favorite person to spend time with. But as of late, something weird has been up. Look, 10 years in, you get pretty comfortable with each other. You've seen each other at your worst and really been through it. Which means, yes, we've passed gas from both ends and used the bathroom in front of each other. No big deal. For the past year, my wife has been farting more than usual. Again, I don't care, it's not a huge problem. But these are some pretty vile stinkers. And this might seem funny, but we're in a small one-bedroom space that's poorly ventilated. So you can imagine that there's a limit to what one can take before one politely says, "Babe, I love you, but you gotta go to the bathroom." Here's the weird part, without fail, she will deny it is her every single time. She'll look at me weirdly and question what I mean. At first, I thought she was being cheeky, so I let it go. But when it started happening every single day, I got worried. I asked her if there was something to be worried about. We're nearing 40, you never know. And she just looked at me weirdly and said with the utmost emphasis and assertion that she did not know what I meant. The next time it happened, I asked her if she smelt it and she said no, and I looked at her wide-eyed because there was no way she couldn't smell it. My eyes were burning from the smell and she's telling me she can't even smell it. I eventually confronted her and she said it's probably a gas leak or sulfur leak or something, which, okay, fair. But we had the place inspected and nothing out of the ordinary turned up. I tried to confront her again and her answer really made me reel. She said, and I quote, "Could be a demon. If it smells like rotten eggs." I'm sorry, is it really easier to try to convince me our house is haunted than just admit she's the one doing it? We live alone, I can hear it, but she has no reaction and firmly denies it every time. We recently had a small spat over it where I asked her why she was choosing this hill to die on and lie for, and she looked at me like I'd given her the finger. She's gone silent and I am now fully losing my mind trying to figure out if I'm the asshole for calling her out or if I'm just going insane. So, AIT, TLDR, wife rips stinky ones, lies constantly to cover up. Edit 1, clarification. Someone said I should include the fact that I can hear the passing of gas many times. Not always. But most of the time, her not farting in front of guests is also what is pushing my buttons. Is it real? Is she faking it? Is she just farting around me and gaslighting me constantly for a year? Let's say this is the case. Why? What's the end goal? Those suggesting a medical checkup, I have pushed for it. She has playfully declined, and the more I pushed, the firmer she got about dropping it, saying I was taking the joke too far. We have both had COVID twice. As mentioned before, we have passed gas previously in front of each other before sans embarrassment. It is this sudden increase in frequency and the alleged lying that has me puzzled. Edit 2, update. So, this blew up, and even though I used a throwaway, I think there were enough identifying factors. She found the post. It was the third post she saw when she opened Reddit. I think I'll have to pause the replies to go have a more serious sit down. With her consent, I will update you all further. Edit 3, wow, I am at a loss for words. So after she saw the post, she was understandably pissed off. She said I violated her trust over something trivial and untrue. I asked her to be real with me and sincerely tell me if she truly did not know what was up, and she said that she could neither feel, smell, nor hear herself. She then, in all seriousness, asked me if I was pulling some shit, which I vehemently denied. I then brought up the medical concerns which she tried to brush away. I offered to go in with her, and she said that I was welcome to have a doctor mess my head up, but she wasn't going to do the same. When I insisted, she got really mad, and called me controlling and gaslighting. We are currently not speaking to each other. I have tried, but she will not budge. She said, and I quote, "Why don't you cry about it to your little incel group?" I have no idea how to proceed. Stories number 24. Wipta if I sold my son's forever home. I, 65F, live in SoCal in a 4,350 SQ, 5-bedroom house with a granny flat, kitchenette, above garage. My son, 30 SM, and his wife, 30 SF, settled in LA after college, 2013. My husband died in 2019, Alzheimer's, my mom in 2020, dementia. I took a reverse mortgage, $385,000, growing $25,000 a year, to care for my husband. With taxes, insurance, and utilities, the house costs $40,000 a year, and I'm out of savings. The house is in a trust, I'm the executor, and my son inherits it when I die. He begged me not to sell, wanting it as their forever home. After he and his Dale lost jobs in 2024, we agreed they'd move in. A month before, Dale asked if her younger sister and husband, not strangers, I hosted their 2024 wedding reception, could stay for a year. I spent $15,000 and 3 months fixing the house, painting, new closets, and moved to the granny flat. In January 2025, they moved in, paying $3,000 a month, their LA rent for 1,400 SQ, far below the $10,000 to $12,000 market rate. Their rent is critical, as the reverse mortgage requires me to live here. Initially, I loved cooking, shopping, and doing their laundry, feeling purpose and family again. They work long hours, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., so I helped often. In March, I had 6 friends, 65 to 85, not rowdy, over to watch a recorded Dodgers game, with my son's approval. They left by 7:45 p.m., but he berated me, saying I can't have friends in the main house, disrupts their life, and must use my granny flat, small couch, 2 chairs. I stopped helping and rarely see them, walking on eggshells to avoid them. I told my son I feel unappreciated, restricted, and isolated, but he insists I respect their boundaries. I regret not setting clearer rules up front. Wipta if I sold the house to escape financial strain and regain my peace, despite my son's forever home wish. Stories number 25. 2 weeks of jury duty changed the way I look at the world. I just got off of 2 weeks of jury duty. It was a major corporation v. an individual. This man, an immigrant and day laborer, got hit by a car in their parking lot. As a result, he has been in a vegetative state ever since. At the time, the company store was not complying with safety regulations that they agreed to receive their building permit. We found company partially liable, obviously the man driving the car was majority at fault. I don't know the exact number they have to pay, but I think it is around $1.1 million. Yes, at times it is boring, it's a pain in the ass to put your life on hold and inconvenience yourself for jury duty. Although I didn't necessarily want to be there, after the trial, I can't stop thinking about it and being grateful it was me. There are so many people who did not take the trial and the responsibility seriously. One of the jurors said, "Let's just vote no so we can leave quickly." I saw the older lady next to me asleep several times. I have never had such a responsibility, to determine the monetary value this man's life was worth and ultimately vote to how he will live the rest of this life. It was not easy. It broke my heart to see the value my fellow jurors viewed his life as. One juror said, "If this was me, I hope my life would be valued at $2 million per year, but then voted to value the man's life at $200,000 per year." I think a lot of it was dependent on this man being an immigrant and a day laborer, they viewed him as lesser. This sub has a lot of people trying to get out of jury duty, and I totally agree with you, I felt the same way. But if you get summoned for jury duty, please take this responsibility seriously. Please be the juror you would want if you were on trial. Someone's life could depend on it and it just might change the way you think of the world. Stories number 26. My 28M, girlfriend, 32F, used to say marriage only benefits men and made it sound like a trap, and now she's wondering why I haven't proposed. So I've been with my girlfriend for almost 5 years. Great relationship overall, we live together, we get along well, and we've supported each other through a lot. No major issues, at least nothing explosive. Looking back over the last few weeks, she has been dropping hints and the tension has been growing, but let me not get ahead of myself so these thoughts remain organized. Thing is, when we started dating, she was extremely clear about her views on it. Her take: marriage overwhelmingly benefits men and turns women into live-in support systems. I remember the first time it came up, she straight up said, marriage is the worst deal for women. It's unpaid labor wrapped in a white dress. That was within the first 6 months of dating. And it wasn't just her, her friends echoed the same vibe constantly. Over the years, I'd overhear them during wine nights, brunches, etc. Some greatest hits. Once you get married, you're expected to do everything from planning holidays, buying gifts, and remembering birthdays, raise kids. What do men do? Grill once a year and change a light bulb. You marry a man, and suddenly you're his secretary, stylist, nanny and maid hybrid that doubles as emotional support animal. If I get married, I want a maid, a therapist, and a chef, because that's what I'd be giving him. Marriage is just the start of a woman's slow disappearance. It's like you lose your name, your time, and your autonomy. And for what? Tax breaks and shared Netflix. One of the more memorable ones came from her best friend, who said, "Every married woman I know is tired, and invisible." They all nodded and agreed. My girlfriend added, "They propose when they're ready, not when you are." Meanwhile, we age, compromise, and still end up doing most of the work in a marriage. Hearing this stuff repeatedly, I stopped seeing marriage as a realistic goal with her. I figured she had strong principles about it and didn't want to be that guy trying to change her mind. So I mentally moved on from the idea. I shifted focus to my business and expanded rapidly. My physical health, personal development, pretty much changed my overall goal to learning whatever new things I found interesting and building as much wealth so I can have enough to go anywhere at any time and just be free. I started seeing long-term commitment outside of marriage as more freeing and flexible. And honestly, I felt good about that. Then last week happened. It was movie night and we were watching The Vow. She looked over at me and said, kind of playfully but not really, "Do you ever think about proposing?" And I said, honestly, "I used to. But I didn't think marriage was something you even wanted." She then said, I used to feel that way, yeah. But people change. I've grown. It's not just about feeling like I should get married, it's about partnership, security, building a life together. I've been thinking a lot about the future, and I don't just want to live with someone forever without the commitment. It's not about the wedding or the social status, it's about knowing that we're in this for the long haul, that we're making a permanent choice to be together. I guess I've just started wanting that deeper kind of security, you know. It's like, there's something about the act of committing to each other officially that feels like the next step for us. I took a minute to process what she said and I said, I get that. But I guess I've changed too. After years of hearing how negative marriage sounded to you, and the way your friends talked about it, I sort of made peace with not going that route. It stopped being something I chased. She looked surprised, almost hurt. She said, "So now you don't want to marry me because of things I said years ago?" I told her, "It's not about holding it against you. But that narrative influenced me. I adapted to what I thought your values were. I let go of it because it seemed like marriage was something you'd never want. And now that you do, I'm not sure if I still do, or if it then makes any sense to it all." She didn't respond right away. It's been awkward ever since. Also, just to clarify, this wasn't just a spur of the momentum decision either, I've thought about the logistics too. At my current income level, if we filed jointly, our taxes would actually go up. I manage all major finances, and I've grown a business that would be seriously affected if it ever had to be divided in a divorce. The legal risks are real. Everything we already have from emotional support, shared goals, cohabitation, intimacy, we pretty much already live like we're married, just without the paperwork and legal vulnerabilities. The benefits of marriage don't outweigh the potential costs anymore, especially when things like estate planning, power of attorney, insurance, etc. exist. I'm not trying to villainize her. People do change. But I changed too. And after years of being told marriage turns women into exhausted, bitter shadows of themselves, how am I supposed to flip a switch and pretend I didn't internalize that? So now I'm stuck in this weird place. I love her. I'm not against commitment. But marriage? After everything we've both said and believed, I don't know if it still makes sense for me. And I don't want to pretend I didn't spend years mentally adjusting to the idea of never being a husband. Anyone been through something similar? How did you deal with something like this? Because this is the first time in my life where I have no idea what to do. Is it fair to say, I've moved on from the idea or I don't see any real benefit, when the topic comes up again without causing fallout, because I don't think agreeing to a marriage just because she wants one is a good idea and probably a recipe for disaster. I feel the tension building every day, and as much I would like to broach the topic, I know from past experience that it's better for her to collect her thoughts and bring it up when she's ready. TLDR, my girlfriend used to say marriage only benefits men, and after years of hearing that from her and her friends, I stopped seeing marriage as something we'd ever do and built a life focused on freedom, business, and the long-term partnership. Now, 5 years in, she's changed her mind and wants to know why I haven't proposed. I still love her, but I really can't see any benefit to marriage or any change it will bring other than financial risk. Has anyone dealt with this kind of flip? I know this will be a heated discussion when she bring it up. How do I not blow this up? Stories number 27. Aita for refusing to let my dad meet my newborn because of what he did when I was in labor. I, 29F, gave birth to my daughter 3 weeks ago. It was a high-risk pregnancy and honestly the most terrifying experience of my life. There were complications during labor, and I ended up needing an emergency C-section. The baby and I are fine now, thankfully, but it was close. The problem is with my dad, 52M. My mom passed away years ago, and my dad remarried when I was in college. His wife and I never got along, but I kept it civil for his sake. When I went into labor, my husband, 30M, was obviously there with me. We had decided only one person would be allowed in the room during the delivery, and it would be him, no arguments. I was very clear about it beforehand, and my dad seemed to understand. Or so I thought. When I was taken into the delivery room, my husband briefly stepped out to grab my bag. That's when my dad convinced a nurse that he was my emergency support person and forced his way in. I was already in pain, drugged up, scared, and suddenly my dad was in front of me, holding my hand, telling me everything would be okay. I freaked out. I started crying, screaming for my husband. It was chaos until a nurse finally realized what had happened and got him out. Afterward, I was shaken. My husband was livid. But I tried to focus on the baby and healing. Now here's the thing. Since the birth, I've refused to let my dad visit or meet the baby. I feel like he crossed a massive boundary at the worst possible time. He saw me half-naked, vulnerable, crying in pain, when I explicitly said I didn't want him there. My dad keeps calling, texting, begging to see his granddaughter. He says he made a mistake out of love. My stepmom says I'm being cruel and depriving him of a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Even some of my extended family are saying I'm being dramatic and holding a grudge, but the truth is, I feel violated. He took away my control at a moment I needed it most. So, AITA for still not letting him meet my baby. Stories number 28. Husband wants us to put 5-month-old in the church nursery and I don't want to. My husband and I recently started attending a church in our area. We've been there about 4 times in person and have been watching live streams when not able to attend. We like it and want to become members. We have a 5-month-old little baby girl, and my husband is insistent that we need to put her in the nursery during the services. She has only cried out once during a service, but I have had to leave to go feed her in a private room during a few services. He thinks that she is interrupting the service if she makes noise and doesn't like when I have to leave him alone to take care of her. The church's pastor has told us how cute it was when she made a little happy noise after hearing the bells play, and several members of the church have told us how joyful it's made them to see her during the service. People have let us know there is a nursery if we're interested in, well, but in my opinion it's just an FYI like we have it if you want it type of communication. He says they're just being nice and it most likely we are bothering them with her interruptions. So because of that he wants us to put her in the nursery for the service. I don't want to do this. I know most likely nothing bad is going to happen to her, but this is a stranger watching our baby who cannot speak for herself. Again, I know most likely everything would be fine, but it's still not something I'm comfortable with chancing at this young of an age. Maybe if we were members and had been going here for a long time and I personally knew the people in the nursery I would feel different, but they are literal strangers. He says it's good practice for me to practice being away from her. In my opinion I shouldn't have to practice that right now. She is a baby, and there's no reason I can't have her with me. I'm honestly just not comfortable with being away from her without it being a trusted friend or family member watching her. It gives me anxiety. I feel like throughout the whole service I'm not even going to be able to pay attention because I'm thinking of her. Am I overreacting? Should I suck it up, and is it good to practice being away from her, or should my husband respect my stance on it and let her stay with us? I feel like it's really more about him not having to be alone and not draw attention to ourselves if she makes noises, and not because he actually thinks it'll be good for me. In my opinion I shouldn't have to do anything that makes me uncomfortable when it comes to the care of my baby. I get that she's our baby, but I am her mother and her voice until she has one. Stories number 29. AITA for demanding to go through my BIL and his GF's bags if they are staying with us. Background: I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the ER. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one is allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house ever, no matter what. On to the current story. My BL started dating his girlfriend a year and a half ago. They came to visit us together for the first time a year ago. My fiancé made sure my BL explained my allergy to his girlfriend, and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she bought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the ER because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have and want to keep a good relationship with my BIL. The two of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with BIL and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is, and how I ended up in the ER, she still brought dairy into our house. I confronted her when they got back. She and BL had a huge fight. BL went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy. We kicked out his girlfriend. BL stayed for the rest of the planned trip. BIL and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, BL has come alone since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, BIL is planning a new trip to visit us, and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first, we just said no, we don't trust her. But since we know this is important to BIL, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we will look through her bags every time she comes back to our place. And if she doesn't accept that she can stay at a hotel or stay home, now I am being called an asshole for treating her like a criminal and that checking her bag is an invasion of privacy. So AITA for demanding to go through her bag if she is staying at my house. Stories number 30. Feel like I'm a placeholder. Or maybe it's anxiety. It's been 4 years. I'm 29 and he is 31. He's very caring and tells me that he loves me. I don't actually know if I'm right because it's just my gut instinct, but I feel like a placeholder. I think he's still got feelings for his long-term ex. She is in the same circle of friends from university and I think he lights up around her. They had a fallout over something and they broke up 6 months before we met, but I know that he bought a ring for her and was set to marry her before the issues. They are not in constant touch but she reached out to him a couple of years ago and foolishly I said it was okay for him to meet her for closure. They don't meet up regularly or anything like that but well. I think he's different when he's around her, and another mutual friend said the same thing when I confided in her. This ex seems to be overly happy in his presence as well, which is upsetting for me. Or it's possible that I'm unhappy that he hasn't proposed despite saying he wants a future with me, and am reading too much into the situation. Don't know what to do. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Does he ever light up for you like he lights up for his ex? Reply. I honestly don't know, because sometimes I think yes but other times no. I think he says the things he feels he should be saying about building a life together, but doesn't always feel it. I don't want to turn into a girlfriend who snoops around looking at phones but it's tempting. I also feel uncomfortable with the fact that she's still close to his family. Commenter 2. Oh, you'd know. He doesn't light up when he sees you. Nor does he seem sincere in discussing a life together. It's been 4 years. If he was genuinely excited to be with you, he'd not be seeing his ex or lighting up around her. He'd be taking next steps toward a future with you. He may have some ambivalence but that's not helpful to you. You could be with someone who has no doubts that you're the one. Commenter 3. What did he say when you spoke to him about how you feel, especially about how you feel like you might be a placeholder? Reply. I've never said to him that I feel like a placeholder, but I have said that after 4 years he should know if sees a future with me. He then says he does and that he'd like to settle down with me, but he has done nothing that suggests to me that he wants to get engaged or married soon. Commenter 4. To be honest, you're hurting both yourself and him, but especially yourself, by not either A, being more candid with him or B, leaving because you can't be more candid with him. Even putting the marriage issue aside, how can the relationship work if you can't be straightforward with him about how you feel about the relationship? Reply. He knows I want to be married though. I just haven't discussed timelines with him, but after 4 years and at 31, surely he should be thinking about these things, too, particularly as he himself said that he would like to settle down with me. Commenter 5. He's not over her. He was ready to marry her but wants to take it slowly with you. It seems like he's ready for marriage but doesn't want to marry you. I'm really sorry. The writing is on the wall. I hate seeing women getting treated like placeholders. I've noticed many men treat life like winter and women like coats. It's cold, are you really going to go without a coat? Just grab a coat for now, any coat. You can always get a better coat later. They don't go without a coat waiting for the coat they really want. They absolutely will wear you while saving up for a better coat though. This is unfortunately why many of them don't leave if you're not the right one. It usually falls on women to do the leaving. You have the info you need. It's up to you to make the right choice for yourself. Let that man go. Reply. Last night I tried to talk about marriage again, to discuss a timeline, and he said he hasn't thought about it. He needs time to think about it. I told him I am unwilling to wait for more than 6 months and he didn't say anything other than asking for a few days to think about it. Commenter 6. Well, there's your answer. If I were you, I wouldn't worry about whether this is about his ex or any other girl. The ultimate answer lies with you too, and right now you're not feeling secure and he's not able to step up. Men can be clueless. I had to explain to my husband at our 3-year mark how much time it takes to get engaged, pay, and plan for a wedding, and then have kids. In his mind it could all happen a lot faster and he thought he had more time to propose. But, he was serious about marriage and reassured me and proposed within a few months. I was also ready to walk and he knew I was serious. If your BF's answer after 4 years is, "I'll think about it," not, "I love you and I'm working on it," go. You deserve a man who you feel safe and loved with. Reply. He told me yesterday evening over dinner that he loves me but he doesn't know if and when he'll be ready to propose or get engaged. He said that he used to think that it was something he could do long term, but when I gave him a timeline, he realized that he couldn't do it anytime soon. When I asked him if he thinks he'd ever be ready, he said possibly, but he honestly doesn't know. Because I was hurt and deeply upset, I asked him if it was because of his past and his previous relationship, but before I could even complete the sentence, his expression changed and he told me that's not relevant and not to try and make this about his previous relationship. Commenter 7. It's hurtful that he did propose to her. Usually if someone is marriage-minded they do find someone else quickly. It's probably best to ask him if he sees this moving forward. Probably best to leave her out of it. If he hedges or delays you have to decide if you want to wait. Reply. He bought her a ring but they had a fallout over something else and they broke up, so he didn't propose. He said to me he was all set to get married to her, it was why he wanted to take things slowly early in our relationship, and that's when he told me this. Dumped after I gave my boyfriend a deadline for engagement November 16, 2024. Only a few days after I finally told my boyfriend that I wouldn't wait for more than 6 months, he's broken up with me. At first he told me that he needed to think, then said that he couldn't see it happening anytime soon, and today he said that he can't marry me, and that he wanted to end the relationship for this reason. I still feel that it's because after all this time, he's still hung up on his ex. He won't talk about it and said it was not the reason, but of course he would say that. I'm still quite sure that she is the reason. He tried to tell me that he still cares about me, etc., but I told him to cut the crap because he wasted 4 years of my life. He told me I can stay in his house for as long as I need until I find a place, but I'll be viewing apartments and leaving ASAP. I feel like such a fool for not putting my foot down sooner and have been in bed all day. How can you do this to someone you claim to love? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm sorry to say but he doesn't love you. He likely still loves his ex. If he loved you, marriage wouldn't be such a big obstacle to him. You are so much better off now. Reply. I know that's what it is. When I asked him straight if he still loves her, he told me not to bring her into this, and then when I asked again, he said it doesn't matter if he does because he can't be with me. He didn't even try denying it. Commenter 2. Please don't try to chase the why. Maybe he still be hung up on his ex, maybe he's just not ready for you, maybe he'll be married a year from now to someone else. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Better to accept that as soon as you can and put your energy into moving on to someone who won't drag you around for 4 years. Reply. It just hurts because I waited longer than I would have otherwise because he was in a lot of pain following the breakup with his ex, and didn't bring up marriage for a long time because he nearly got engaged to his ex, and it was a sensitive point. Commenter 3. I predict he'll be back with the ex in a month or less. Unless she's smart enough to tell him to pound sand. Why did they break up? Reply. I mentioned it in a previous comment but it was over a family matter relating to a family member of his where his ex was going against his wishes and interfering. She's since apologized to him about it and said she wished she had stayed out of it. I was dumb enough to tell him that it was okay for him to meet her for closure, and she said this. She didn't have any other relationships after they broke up. I've been in denial but ever since this happened, his attitude towards her has softened considerably, and they always seem happy around each other, same circle of friends from university, so they sometimes run into each other. Plus she is still really close to his family. Not sure why I wasn't seeing what should have been obvious. It was obvious to a mutual friend as well. Commenter 4. Guys buy rings when they want someone and don't want to risk losing them. He feels very safe to not have to pony up. Especially when women see him as the catch. Which your 4 years sadly shows he has the upper hand. I'm sorry that this played out this way for you, and how to take the aftermath of licks it has hit you with is a hard one. Look for how you have benefited and find ways to be grateful other than your dissatisfaction currently. Reply. I will. It's hard at the moment. With mutual friends saying they tried to warn me that he was still emotionally connected to his ex and that they saw this coming. I should have snapped out of my wishful thinking when he said early in the relationship while drunk that he was set to marry her and that it felt wrong to date someone else. He said later that it was just him being drunk and I believed him, ignoring the red flags. Don't know how I've lived in denial for so long. I'm feeling like a fool. Commenter 6. That's why you got to park him and all this somewhere and don't pick it back up. The weight of it isn't helping you at all. We all make mistakes and have wasted opportunities, resources, time and more. Acceptance is the key to all our difficulties. Move on as your own personal best friend and coach yourself to find better ways to use your mental energy. Yes, you are experiencing a loss. But it's part of life no matter how good we make choices. Hugging face. Reply. Today we had another chat after work, and even though he's being guarded, he admitted that although he feels like he connects with me on an intellectual level, he feels an emotional bond is missing. He said he needs an emotional attachment, which he couldn't have with me despite trying. I feel absolutely gutted. New updates. I had a bunch of people telling me on my previous posts that I was being ridiculous in believing that my ex-boyfriend didn't still have feelings for his ex. As I mentioned in my previous posts, he had a ring for her and really wanted to marry her before they fell out over something. They then talked things through, evidently for closure, while he and I were together. I knew about it and stupidly thought it would help him get over her. Instead, he started withdrawing from our relationship. Other comments said that there must have been other issues that were the primary reason for him not marrying me. And some people even said that I deserved to get dumped after I gave him an ultimatum, even though I had been waiting for years. Well, turned out I was right after all, and I wish I hadn't been. I moved out within a couple of weeks of our breakup, even though he said I could stay for as long as I needed to in his house before I found a good place. I heard from a mutual friend not long after that she had seen them together. She later warned me that they had in fact reconciled and were together again. She is the same mutual friend who had warned me previously that he had not moved on from his previous relationship, and his actions eventually confirmed that she was right. I am sure that one of the reasons he insisted on picking up and dropping off my remaining belongings to my new place was because he didn't want me to turn up and find her there. I guess I did the right thing giving him an ultimatum, otherwise I would still be waiting and waiting, until he dumped me probably. What I don't understand is that despite knowing this, I still can't move on. As absurd as it sounds, I still love him very much, despite everything. It's a crazy feeling and I can't seem to stop feeling this way. He was my ideal man but I couldn't be his ideal woman. Final update, sickened by my ex's behavior and no longer in love with him. March 13, 2025. Just under 4 months after being dumped, 2 days ago, I finally woke up after trying to believe the best about my ex-boyfriend. He left me for his ex-girlfriend and had immediately gone back to her. Couldn't stop myself from returning to social media a couple of days ago and instantly regretted it. He married her in a registry office wedding not long ago. I had requested mutual friends not to talk about him to me, and therefore nobody told me. That means he must have made the decision to marry her at least a month before that, because a registry office requires that much notice. So essentially I was just a girlfriend for convenience, because it's easier being with someone for companionship and sex. The length of time together didn't matter to him. I've been making excuses for him but what he's done is sickening and I've snapped out of still feeling love for him. I can't imagine marrying someone else 4 months after ending one relationship. I feel disgusted. Anyway, thank you everyone who helped me and was supportive. I've been through some of the most painful days of my life. Stories number 31. AITA for not letting my coworker stay at my place even though I have the space. So I, 23F, live alone in a small 2-bedroom house. One room is mine, the other one is basically my everything room. It's my office, my closet, storage, sometimes I just lay on the floor in there and stare at the ceiling when life sucks lol. It is not a guest room. I've lived with horrible roommates before so I worked really hard to be able to afford my own place and I love having my space. It's literally my safe little bubble. Anyways, one of my coworkers, 25F, got into a huge fight with her roommates and they kicked her out. She was venting at work and I felt bad and was like, that sucks OMG, and even sent her a few places to look at. I was trying to be helpful without inviting chaos into my life YK. Later that night she texts me saying, hey, I was thinking maybe I could just crash with you for a few weeks since you live alone and have the space. I literally got that sinking feeling in my chest. No, I'm not even close to her. We're cool at work but we've never even hung out outside of lunch breaks and complaining about our boss. She doesn't know anything about me. And I don't know her like that. Why would she live in my house? So I replied super politely like, I totally get that you're going through it but I really value my space and I'm just not in a place where I can have someone stay with me, like I was nice. Didn't ghost her. Didn't ignore her. Just said no. Next day she's acting really weird. Then another coworker tells me she said I let her be homeless, when I have an entire room to myself, like girl. First of all, she's staying at her BF's place. Second of all, I pay to live alone. That's the whole point. I don't want to feel tense or uncomfortable in my own space. I don't want to tiptoe around a person I barely know. And I definitely don't want to deal with, just a few weeks, turning into, I'm looking but nothing's coming through yet, for 2 months. Now PPL at work are acting like I'm the bad guy. Sorry for not letting a coworker move into my apartment BC, she had a bad fight. Ick. I feel bad but like. Also no, Aita, update, she went to jail, lol. Don't know what happened but I feel horrible to say I laughed. Well, solves that issue. Edit cause I have to highlight my favorite comment. Go up to the people that had something to say and tell them they are horrible for not bailing her out. Stories number 32. AITA for moving into my dad's full-time after my mom's pregnant stepdaughter moved back in with her and my stepdad. I, 16F, have broken up parents and my mom married someone else when I was 8. My stepdad has a daughter Hannah, 19, and she was a bully the whole time we lived together. She didn't like me or my mom and made that clear every single day. My mom would step in and tell Hannah to stop. My stepdad would say something but normally not too forcefully and I never felt like he cared all that much about her treating me that way. Hannah moved out last year and my mom promised she would never be welcome to live there again and she swore my stepdad had agreed to meet with Hannah outside the house so she wasn't given the chance to bully me again. The bullying stuff was harmless at first but got worse. She'd make fun of my hair a lot when it first started and she'd laugh at me in a mean way if I fell or something went wrong. But then she started swearing at me, calling me things like a bitch and a slut and she'd say I stank and would spread rumors among her friends that I didn't shower, or that I shit myself all the time. She used to tell me I couldn't sit in the same room as her and I wasn't allowed to sit next to her at lunch or dinner at mom's house. The worst it ever was happened when I was about 11 and my stepdad had taken me along for a day out with his daughter and her friends and she and her friends crowded around me at the arcade and she shoved me against the wall and even tried to spit on me. I hid in the bathrooms until my stepdad was ready for us all to leave. I told my mom, she went nuts on my stepdad and his daughter but nothing really happened. Even though mom never left to protect me I always wanted to believe she was serious that once Hannah was over 18 she wouldn't be allowed back unless she treated me better. Then I found out mom lied. Hannah's pregnant so she and my stepdad are letting Hannah move back in. When I found out about that I told mom I was moving in with dad full time and I wasn't going to her house anymore. She told me I couldn't let Hannah chase me away from my home and I said it isn't home when Hannah's there. When I went to grab my stuff from mom's, Hannah had already taken over my room with extra stuff and she left them in a puddle. Apparently she has a dog so maybe it was dog pee but yeah, there were some other things of mine in that puddle too. And Hannah knew about it because she smirked the second she saw me. My mom told me she doesn't want to lose me and that I need to take action that's less drastic and I asked mom how she expected me to visit her knowing she's staying and helping Hannah after all Hannah did to me. Then I told her she was pathetic if she thought she'd get a grandkid out of it because Hannah will never let her kid call mom that. Mom told me that was none of my business and she'll make sure she protects me. I asked her if she'd protect me like she protected my stuff. I said I only assumed it was the dog too. That Hannah hates me enough to pee on my stuff herself. Mom said that was disgusting and I told her I hoped someone had cleaned up my old room because I touched nothing that was covered in pee. My mom told dad he needs to send me to her house every other week like the court order says. Dad told her the court order covered this because I'm older than 15 and he read the section that said I could stop going to one house or the other once I'm 15 and make the choice myself. My mom said this is me going too far and it needs to stop. Stories number 33. AITA for telling my brother to get over his ex. I, 22F, have an older brother named Jacob, 25M. Jacob dated this girl named Cami, 24F, for about a year and a half. They met in high school but didn't start dating until their second year of college. Jacob broke up with Cami on Valentine's Day because he would be studying abroad in his third year and didn't want to be long distance, and he wanted to explore other people. Cami was heartbroken, she was super sweet, and it was hard to watch how devastated she was. Well, once my brother came back from his year abroad, he was distraught that Cami had moved on and started dating someone else. He tried to get back together with her, but she wasn't interested. He even tried to be friends, but she cut him off and refuses to speak to him. Jacob moped around for the rest of his fourth year and a bit after, until he met his current girlfriend, Mandy, 25F. Jacob is constantly comparing Mandy to Cami. If Mandy does something he doesn't like, he immediately brings up how Cami would have never done that. Jacob constantly talks about how Cami was the love of his life, and he should never have let her go. It's like a daily occurrence at this point. He compares Mandy to Cammy, asks Mandy to dress like Cammy, wants Mandy to talk like Cammy, and has had Mandy dye her hair like Cammy's. It's like a scary obsession with her. We were at a family barbecue on Sunday, and Jacob brought Mandy. At one point, Mandy went to grab a beer, and Jacob sneered at her and said, "Cammy wouldn't drink that." I lost it at that point. For the past year, he and Mandy have been together. I've constantly listened to him harp on her, and compare him to the girl he dumped. So I snapped and yelled at my brother, "Shut up and leave that girl alone, Cammy doesn't want you, she hasn't for years. Mandy is a different person. Get over your ex and grow up, you are acting like a huge asshole." Jacob stormed out after I said this, and I ended up driving Mandy home. My mom thinks I'm being too harsh on Jacob. She thinks I should give him more grace since Cammy was his first love, and it's hard to get over your first love. My dad thinks I was being an asshole for embarrassing Jacob and Mandy, that I should have kept my mouth shut and handled it in private, not in front of our family and friends. Jacob says I'm an asshole and is now refusing to speak to me. The only people who don't think I'm an ass are Mandy, some family friends, and my aunts. So I need outside help. Was I being an asshole in this situation? Stories number 34. Aita for telling dad's wife that it is my house where he lives and she can't order me around. I lost my mother when I was 10. I am 19 and I am student of finance major in my CIT's best college. My maternal grandparents owned the house, where my parents lived. And later passed it to my mother. When my mom was in her final months, she transferred the house to my name. With clause giving permission for dad to live in it till I am 22, my dad fully supported the decision and he already owned his own house. Things changed. My dad lost a lot during COVID and had to sell his house back then. I had funds and trust left by mom to cover for me. Even though he got back on his feet, he saved enough for down payment for a house and rent income covers the mortgage of that house. My dad married his girlfriend Ella last year. My house is big enough to house her and her annoying daughter 16F Stella, who wanted a sibling relationship with me. But I have zero interest. I am cordial and that is what they gonna get from me. I have my cousin sisters from my aunts who are like real sisters to me. Father's wife have a problem that I don't call her by mom and don't treat her daughter as sister. I don't follow her chores schedule. I have house help for my chores, who does my laundry and cook for me, and I do remaining ones. When my dad was at work, she said this disrespectful attitude won't work here and she will ask dad to make me leave and live somewhere else. I laughed at her audacity and told her that I own this house and if I want, I can throw her and her daughter out of my house in streets. I told her she doesn't get me to order me around as she is no one to me and I tolerate her and her daughter because for my father's happiness. So she can shove this attitude somewhere else. I told her if she keeps this behavior, she will be forced to pay rent here. She was shocked and left crying. Later my dad confronted me and said I didn't need to throw this to her. I love my father. He has raised me well and has been always here for me. I told him he should clear things to his wife and tell her to cool down her expectations from me. She isn't my mother and her daughter will never be my sister. At 19 I have my own circle and I just want to stay cordial. But not involved with them. Edit. If people think it is fake, then why are you even here? Millions people die each year. They remarry and have such issues. Stories number 35. Aita for shouting at a teacher after she took my CICE in class. Before getting into this, a little background information is needed. I, 17M, was born deaf to a hearing family. My family and I sign at home, but I need to speak while at school as the high school I go to isn't the most accessible or disability friendly. When I was 9, my parents paid for me to get a surgery to receive cochlear implants, CICE, which I only really use when at school or out with my hearing friends that don't sign. I attend a mainstream school and as I stated, it isn't disability friendly. Now, on to the situation at hand. Yesterday I was wearing a beanie in class. Now, usually that wouldn't be a problem when it is my normal teacher, but yesterday we had a sub. The beanie I was wearing was covering the transmitter of my CI, while the part that hooks onto my ear was noticeable. I know that there are quite a lot of kids that tend to get into trouble because they'd wear AirPods or whatever devices people use nowadays for music that aren't headphones, mainly because those aren't allowed in classes. Usually, my teachers are aware of my CI and know that it in fact is not a music device, so I never have any trouble, but this was a sub-teacher. She wasn't aware of my CIs at first. Keep in mind that, at first, while doing some assignments, this sub, who we'll call Mrs. K, came up to my desk. I don't know what exactly she thought my CIs were, but she didn't like them. Originally, she questioned me and told me to remove them immediately or she'd have to write me up. I explained to her, made her very aware that what I was wearing were for me to hear her, and even took off my beanie to show her. She pretty much called bullshit and attempted to take my CIs off. This was an absolute no-no. I, on instinct, slapped her hands away and stood up before starting to lecture her, telling her she has no right to try and take my sea ice. After this little stir, I sat back down, thinking that the situation was most likely over. I was wrong. A little bit afterwards, she came up from behind me and literally snatched my sea ice from off my head. After this I got up yet again and started full on yelling at this lady, telling her that she is not allowed to take assistive devices and threatened to report her. I know in this situation, me getting physically wasn't the right response, but I was scared as hell that she'd break them, so I grabbed her hands and tried to get my sea ice back, which I didn't. Of course after that she called the principal in, and me having no clue what the hell was being said, I just straight up told the principal that she took my sea ice and isn't giving them back. In the end, I got my sea ice back, but obviously due to me putting my hands on a staff member I got suspended, and my principal said I was in the wrong for the situation. My dad is threatening to report this sub-teacher to the administration. So, am I the asshole? Stories number 36. Aita for doing everything myself, then sitting there staring at my GF doing and saying nothing while she had a full-on meltdown and went off on me. My 26M, GF, 26F, moved in with me 2 years ago, just completed 2 years yesterday in fact. We have been together a total of 4 years and overall, the relationship has been good. She's usually a lovely partner and we spend a lot of quality time together, share a lot of interests and just in general always got along very well, not my words alone. But she has this thing where she has to be independent all the time and she's freaking out, because get this, there isn't anything for her to solve. I make more money than she does, do the vast majority of the house chores and maintenance work, cook, and whatever else needs doing. It's not even like she has time for these things. She's overworked and often late, and IWFH. Yes, she's mad at me because I take care of everything too well. We have a leak. Gone before she even noticed, light bulb stopped working. Changed before you know it, have to pay the bills today. Done before you even wake up. Yesterday when she came home from work we were celebrating 2 years living together. I had made a special dinner, everything was fine, until she asked me about an issue she had with the car in the morning. She had to Uber to work today and asked me what I thought it was. I told her I had already fixed it and what it was. She looked like she was about to have a stroke, seriously. She went red with rage and just started screaming at me, and I did what I always do in these situations. It's not a pattern with her or anything like that, this is only the second time it has happened, but I dealt with this a lot more from my family. I just sat there with a blank expression drinking my wine as she continued to go off, waiting for her to be done and actually talk. Then my reaction to it became an issue and she started screaming even more. Eventually she stopped and I asked if she was calm enough to talk. She screamed and oh, so I just said something along the lines of, okay, when you are, I'll be waiting, and just went about my night, did the dishes, cleaned up the mess I had made for our date, went to my office and played some games until I felt sleepy enough to go to bed. We're working now and still hasn't talked to me today. Left as soon as she woke up, no breakfast, no hi or morning, just got up, got dressed and left. Aita. Edit. Car is mine, she uses it for work because I generally don't need it. Stories number 37. I found messages on my MIL boss's computer that changed my entire view of her. What do? I listen to 2 hot takes literally every week and this happened to me a couple days ago. I've been at a loss of what to do, so I figured I should finally make a Reddit account and post here. I work at my husband's family business that builds custom homes. I met my MIL when she came into the design firm I worked at to pick out some options for a client. She and I hit it off, and after she'd come in a few times she set me up with her son. Fast forward 7 years and I coordinate all the builds and consult with clients on design for the 50-plus-year-old family business. My MIL is technically my boss, but we operate a lot like equals and she's been taking some steps back. She and I have always gotten along great and she has felt like the mother I never got to have growing up. So last Friday I was packing up to go home and on the phone with my husband before he got a flight for an annual weekend away with friends. I was distracted and accidentally grabbed my MIL's computer instead of mine. I didn't realize it until I was home and wanted to look up some fixtures for a project in our own house. Once I knew, I texted her to let her know, to which she said no worries, she was unplugging this weekend anyway and to do whatever I needed on it. I was just browsing and unintentionally clicked on a linked email on a store's contact page. We use MacBooks, and as a lot of Apple users know, that will usually pop up to send an email using your default mail app. I closed the draft, and when I went to close her email app, one saw an email from a recently hired apprentice titled "Our Weekend Getaway Itinerary." I froze. I realized this was her personal email and I couldn't help myself but to click on it. I found both explicit and romantic messages between this 22-year-old male apprentice and my married 47-year-old mother-in-law and boss. I slammed the computer shut and just went to bed, staring at the ceiling for quite a while. My husband was gone all weekend and only got home today. I had been spiraling all weekend on how to handle this. I certainly wasn't going to bring it up to my husband while he was gone. But I went to the office and had to see my MIL yesterday and could barely keep my composure. I found every excuse to lock myself away in my office and be busy. So now my husband is back and I'm wondering what to do. Do I tell him? How do I even do that? Do I go to his mom and confront her? Do I go to his dad and tell him, help? Update. I found messages on my MIL boss's computer that changed how I view her. Like I said, I listen to THT every week and I heard my story on there this week, so yes, OP was listening and here is an update. My FIL did end up confronting my MIL shortly after my post. He brought the proof that my husband found, his positive ST results, a copy of their prenup, and the divorce papers. From what he told us when he came over for dinner after, he was calm and just laid it all out on the table, literally. She obviously knew she was caught and just asked how he found out. He said it wasn't important and outlined what the next steps would look like. He was willing to make some concessions on their prenup if she would come clean about everything and step down quietly. I think he was so hurt by it all and he loved her so much that he just wanted this to be done and over, and he did still want to care for her. She fought for a bit but relented, so the divorce should go smoothly. She stepped down willingly from the business and moved out, but he did offer spousal support and their vacation home which she moved into, both things that were not included in the prenup. My FIL has spent a lot of time at our house or going out with my husband golfing or hiking. He's heartbroken and worried that it's all going a little too smooth, that she will suddenly change her attitude. But I personally think she just knows she got caught and messed up past any fixing it. I'm struggling to come to terms with that version of her versus the one I got to know and love. But there's nothing I can do but be there for my FIL and husband. The two are really leaning on each other, which is heartwarming for me to see. She reached out to me to apologize for putting me in the position and hopes we can still have a relationship. So at some point she found out that he found out from me. I told her not right now, but I don't know what will happen in the future, but my husband is my #1 priority right now. Thank you Morgan and Michaela for your take and not ripping me to shreds like some commentators did. Stories number 38. I offered to pay for a stranger's items when their card declined and it all went downhill from there. I was waiting in line at the grocery store waiting to check out and there was a woman in front of me with 2 young kids. When it was her turn to pay, her card declined. The cashier tried it twice but it still declined, and when she asked the woman if she had cash instead, the woman said that she didn't. She was about to leave her things, but as it was only 1 loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter, I offered to pay for them. She thanked me and then asked if she could grab something else really quick, and I found myself nodding because I was caught off guard. She came back with a carton of eggs, women's sanitary towels, milk and some toilet paper. By this point my brain just couldn't compute and I just smiled and proceeded to pay for everything in mine. She thanked me again and I told her no worries, then we went out separate ways. I am still trying to process what happened. It's not like she got luxuries, those were literally basic necessities, and if I was well off, I definitely wouldn't have bat an eye, but I am just a poor college freshman who was just trying to do something nice with the little that I have. Stories number 39. To fool by planning a surprise vacation without checking if my partner could actually go. A few weeks ago, I made what I thought was a grand romantic gesture, and it totally backfired. My partner has been completely overwhelmed with work for months, super long hours, constant stress, barely any time to breathe. I wanted to do something meaningful to give them a break, so I decided to plan a surprise vacation. I'd recently come into a bit of extra money from a lucky win, one of those rare moments where something actually went right, so I figured, why not go all out? I booked flights, reserved a beautiful Airbnb right by the beach, and even lined up activities I knew they'd love: scuba diving, wine tastings, the whole 9 yards. I didn't tell them anything until it was all set, thinking the big reveal would be this amazing, movie-worthy moment. Except I never checked their schedule. The day I showed them everything, complete with a cheesy slideshow of all the cool stuff we'd be doing, they looked excited at first, but then kind of froze. Turns out, they couldn't take time off at all because of a critical project deadline at work. I was crushed. They were super sweet about it and kept saying they appreciated the effort, but I could tell they felt bad, and honestly, so did I. To make it worse, most of the bookings were non-refundable because I rushed to lock everything in. I ended up losing a good chunk of what I'd saved, and now the whole thing is just kind of a sore subject between us. What was supposed to be a bonding experience ended up feeling like a misfire I can't really undo. TLDR, surprised my partner with a vacation without checking their work schedule. They couldn't go, and I lost a bunch of money on non-refundable plans. Stories number 40. GF is financially immature and it's driving me insane. Holy shit, this blew up. Update at the end. Hey fellas, I need your help here. I'm 32, she's 26, we have been together for close to a year now. I like her, she's sweet, caring and little drama, but when it comes to money and planning she behaves like a fucking child. Always going for instant gratification instead of planning for a long-term goal. We want to go to a music festival this year as our vacation. She's a teacher and doesn't make a lot of money, so she would have needed to save up for that. We've been talking about this for months, she just keeps complaining that she doesn't have enough money to afford the trip. I tell her time and time again that she does have the money, she just needs to save up for the festival. But she just refuses. Last weekend she went shopping and spent about 10% of what she would have needed as a budget for the festival. Last night we were talking about the festival, she said she won't be able to afford it. I ask her, why she spent so much money on shopping then. You only live once, and I could be dead tomorrow, were the bullshit answers. It's infuriating, like talking to a literal child. I have a good job in the finance sector and get paid in a foreign currency, I could easily pay for the both of us. I pay most of the bills and always pick up the tab when we go out and I don't mind at all. But I just refuse to pay for this event when she keeps spending money like she does. I need your advice on this. I'm looking to start a family in the next few years and she is great with kids, also attractive. But I just cannot see her as my wife if I can't trust her to do something as simple as save up for a vacation for a couple of months. I probably could take control of her finances completely, but I feel like I would be together with a child instead of a grown adult. What to do? Keep trying to educate her and pray for improvement or just cut my losses and move on. Edit, typo, update. First, let me clarify some things. She's the one who brought up the festival as a vacation. She said she wanted to go there for years. It's her music and her crowd, I would just come with her to spend time with her. Secondly, it's not about the amount of money. I thought I made this clear, but let me type it out again, I don't care that she can't afford it. I'm disappointed because she wouldn't commit and chose quick, cheap gratification over something we would have memories from for years. Thirdly, to all the people that said that she needs to spend all of her money on bullshit because only then can she be attractive enough for me, you have never been in a serious relationship and you are absolutely terrible with money. You just try to justify your awful spending habits. If you think that your man is only with you because you wear a new outfit every day, think again. Lastly, to all the people that went, well, you're gonna miss that pussy, or, oh, you bought yourself a kid from an impoverished nation, or, well, that what Eastern girls are like, go fuck yourself. Not only are you being incredibly disrespectful towards her but to the great and heartwarming people that live in this beautiful country. It's not their fault that they had to live under communism and have since made great progress towards becoming a wealthy nation. So, I decided to have a very long and serious talk with her and broke up with her. It's just not fair for her if I stayed with her, although I know that I will not trust her to be committed to the relationship. Ultimately this relationship will not lead anywhere and I would be an asshole if I dragged this out. I just have seen too many examples of how people don't change and I'm scared what would happen if we got married, had kids, and things didn't improve. I'm staying with my parents for Easter, she will stay with hers. After that I'll get my shit, the apartment is paid for until the end of May, now she needs to actually grow up and become an adult. I'm now sitting in a hotel room I got for the night and will go crying in the hot shower for the next couple of hours. Take care guys, thanks for all the heartwarming insights and compassion. Stories number 41. My wife wants her brother to stay with us. So my wife has a brother who got out of jail 2 years ago after being in prison for over a decade for some pretty serious charges including rape and murder, though he didn't pull the trigger from my understanding. The thing is I have 2 teenage daughters that live with me 60% of the time and I don't want him staying with us for this reason, I don't trust him. He's getting evicted from his apartment and had his car repossessed and now my wife says he has to come live with us and is not taking no for an answer. I told her from the beginning that under no circumstances did I ever want him even coming around my daughters or my house and now she's not giving me a choice and says I'm not being understanding and selfish but I have kids to think about. I wouldn't want him living with us anyway even without the kids to be honest but I really can't have him around my daughters. What should I do? Stories number 42. AITA for breaking up after realizing my girlfriend might never be ready to marry me. I, 27M, was in a relationship with Christina, 26F, for almost 3.5 years. We met through friends after we both moved to Asheville, North Carolina for work. Things between us were easy and comfortable. I honestly thought she was the person I'd spend the rest of my life with. About 1.5 years into the relationship I knew I wanted to propose. But I waited and wanted to get more stable financially and I thought it was fair to wait until I was ready. After about 2.5 years, I finally bought the ring and planned a quiet, personal proposal. I chose an old train station that had been turned into an art space, we had one of our first dates there. I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. She started tearing up and said, I love you, but I'm not ready. She said she needed more time to feel sure about getting engaged. A full year passed. During that time we talked more about our future. She said things like, I can't imagine life without you, and, you're the only one I see myself with. So I thought we were getting closer to the same page. This time, I planned something more romantic. I rented a quiet cabin by the lake, a place we loved visiting in the summer. I made dinner, had music and candles, and waited for the right moment. I proposed again. She cried again. And again, she said, not yet. I asked her why, and she said the same thing, she just wants to be sure we'll work out. I asked her, if you're still unsure after all this time, what will ever make you sure? That hurt more than the no. I told her I couldn't keep waiting forever. I said I loved her, but I wasn't going to stay in a relationship where I kept giving and waiting without knowing if she would ever say yes. She started crying harder and said, okay, fine, I'll marry you, just don't leave. But that made things worse. It didn't sound like love, it sounded like fear. Like she was only agreeing so I wouldn't go. So I decided to leave. The next day I started getting texts from her, her mom, and some of our mutual friends. Some said I was being selfish and immature and that she just needed more time, and I threw away something special. Others are staying out of it, just saying it's sad how it ended. Now I'm wondering, did I act too fast? Should I have waited longer? Or was I right to walk away when she kept saying, not yet, after all this time? Stories number 43. I hate his affair child. I hate the child, I hate my ex, I hate that child's mother. I hate all of them. Yet every time my child grows out of her clothes I set them aside for the creature her dad created while we were still married. Its birthday came around, I got it a present. I guess part of me feels guilty because I know its parents, it won't ever have a good life. Its parents are both deadbeats, neither of them have a job. I don't want the thing anywhere near me, I don't want it around my children. I don't care to ever have a relationship with it, and if my children decide to have a relationship with it I don't want it around me still. Maybe I'm hateful and a terrible person. I cannot stand to see pictures of it, know about its life nothing, but every time I hear that its parents don't have enough food for it I'm at the store making sure it has what it needs. That's the truth off my chest. I wish the creature and its parents would disappear forever and I would never have to hear their names again or see their stupid faces, but I am an idiot who still helps the thing. Stories number 44. Aita for not taking my ex-husband's son to an Easter party. My friends are having an early Easter party and invited me and the kids. I knew the kids would be excited because they really wanted their baskets. I wanted to pick them up early since the party is all the way in Philly and we live in New York. My ex had them for the week, but it's my time now. I asked him if he could get them dressed, which he did. He had an attitude about it, but that didn't bother me. Even though the court states we have our weekend, the kids stay with me most of the time. This is probably his first week having them. But I've been talking to my lawyer for some weeks to get full custody because he doesn't want to be a father and my kids don't like going to his house and rather stay with me. Anyway, it took me an hour to get to Jason's house, and I texted him to let him know I was outside. When I got to the car, my son ran out to me with his backpack on. My daughter was coming too, but she was in the bathroom. That's when I saw Jason's son, who is 5, dressed in a cute outfit with bunny ears. His son had come to a family gathering with me and the kids once, but that was because my mom offered for him to join us. I assumed they were going out, but Jason told me his son was coming with us, which didn't seem right at all. He assumed I was taking him, but I said, get the kids ready. He knew what I meant. Jason then complained that he never gets any sleep because of the baby, nor does his wife, who is dealing with postpartum issues, so he just wanted a break. However, I know from my kids that Jason and his wife have been fighting non-stop while their kids cry in the background. I don't feel comfortable bringing another child into unfamiliar places. Jason spoke to me as if it were a demand, but I wasn't going to agree to that. My son went to the car, and I told Jason I wasn't taking his son. He got angry, which confused me. How can he be mad when things don't go his way? I didn't think his wife was aware, as she doesn't like me and wouldn't want me to take her son. But then I received a text from her saying she actually wanted me to take him because she's been struggling with postpartum. Jason said it wasn't fair that I was taking my kids and not his son. I told him he could think what he wanted, but I wasn't taking him. He believes I'm the one in the wrong for not taking his son. It's sad Jason got his son hopes up, he was only thinking about himself. Stories number 45. I am not a twin, but I was born the same year as my brothers, who are twins. Hey y'all, we have a very unique situation in our family, and I was wondering if anyone else has something similar. My older brothers are identical twins born in early January, and I was born later that same year in late December. We ended up in the same grade and look incredibly alike, same height, similar face shape, and whenever we're all together, people constantly mistake us for triplets. But we're not. I'm only starting to realize now how incredibly rare our situation is. And when I asked Chat if it was even possible he told me it wasn't. Edit, and yes, even if it's hard to believe, we were all in the same grade at school, and we were always in the same class, still are to this day in high school. Stories number 46. Tired of paying half the bills just to do 75% of the childcare and 100% of the house care. That's it. That's the post. Yes, I've had talks. Yes, I've asked. Yes, I've made lists, it's on the fridge. Now I guess I'll just pay myself $200 million and discount it on rent till he gets the hint. Why should I have to do it all? One time I didn't clean as much for 2 weeks because I was very busy with an internship. He was upset at how messy our house was, exclaiming, "We look like meth heads, this isn't who we are," then proceeded to do nothing about it. So sure, I'll do it all, but I'm going to save some money in the progress TF. Edit, sorry y'all can relate, you two men. Remember to love your partners and help them, and if you think your partner is naggy, you are not contributing enough, and apparently there are loads of others out there who will. But no, I don't want to leave over this. Despite what is thought in the comments, we do have a loving and happy relationship. Just one of the most common relationship issues since the dawn of shared living spaces. Not every problem is divorce-worthy, huh, smiley face, just venting. Have a good Thursday and happy Easter if you celebrate. Random but dude, my daughter just took her first nap in like 3 months. Holy shit. Gonna rot on the couch for a hot minute and just fucking chill. Edit number 2, holy shit guys, I don't hate him, he's still my husband. He just hates cleaning, not me. Stories number 47. My 18-year-old daughter caught my wife and I having sex. So to preface this, we were not having loving mommy and daddy vanilla sex. My wife is not that kind of woman. I would never describe her like this to anyone without it being anonymous, but my wife is a certified freak. On the outside she looks like a normal 40-year-old wife and mother, but that woman is a kinky, depraved sex maniac. She loves being tied up, blindfolded, choked, degraded, walked on a leash, etc. She is hypersexual and hypersensitive. I've seen her have 9 orgasms back to back. The kinks in the bedroom are all her idea. Which isn't to say that I don't enjoy our sex life, but she's truly insatiable and it can be a lot sometimes. Through the years with 2 children it's been harder for us to arrange time to indulge, but now that our son is in college and our daughter is going to be graduating this year and also going to college, we're very excited to have more time for ourselves. My daughter was going to a sleepover party at her best friend's house. We told her have fun and be safe. The second she was out of the house my wife said, "Meet me in the basement in 20 minutes. I knew what I had to do. I went down there and dusted off the large wooden chest that I keep buried away and locked. I set up the bandage table, got her favorite nipple clamps, the lube she likes, her blindfold, made sure the vibrator was charged, her butt plug was ready to go and got the rope ready. I'll spare the details, but my daughter came home early and unannounced. She heard screaming in the basement, my wife is loud when she climaxes, and walked in on her mother bound and restrained, with a blindfold and ripple claps on, coming her brains out while I used a vibrator on her while I was completely naked except for a latex bandage mask. Obviously she screamed and ran. It took a lot to calm her down. I untied my wife and we got dressed and talked to her about what she saw. She kept apologizing and we told her she didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing to apologize for, but we're so sorry that she saw that. This was just last night, so things are still really awkward. This was legitimately the most embarrassing moment of my life and I really hope we didn't permanently scar our daughter. Stories number 48. AITA for ignoring my sister after she kept introducing me as her little brother. Hi Reddit, I, 14F, have 2 sisters, O, 17F, and J, 11F. Growing up, O and J were closer to my mom, while I've always been closer with my dad. My dad's a mechanic, and because of that, I've developed a big passion for cars and all things mechanical. This becomes important later. O has a boyfriend, M, 17M, and they've been together for 2 years. Recently, I found out M and I have quite a bit in common. We're both introverted and love cars. He actually works as a mechanic, like my dad. On a recent trip, we bonded over cars we saw, and that connection continued afterward. For my birthday, M gave me tickets to a vintage car show, which I went to with him and my best friend N, 15M, and it was honestly one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. A few days ago, M also helped N and me build a robot for a school project. The robot ended up winning a prize, and my dad was so proud that he threw a little celebration party for us. O invited some of her friends, and that's when things got weird. O kept introducing me to her friends as her little brother. Now, I do dress more androgynously and have a tomboyish style, so I guess people didn't question it too much. But I asked her, multiple times, to stop calling me her brother because it made me uncomfortable. She just laughed it off every time. Eventually, I got tired of it and went inside to play video games. M and N joined me a bit later because they also didn't feel like being around a crowd anymore. After gaming for a while, they left with the rest of the guests. Later that night, my mom and O confronted me about disappearing from the party. I explained that I didn't like being introduced as a boy and didn't want to cause a scene, so I just removed myself. That's when O exploded. She started yelling and accusing me of trying to steal her boyfriend. She even said that if I act like a boy, I should be treated like one. My dad overheard the whole thing and jumped in to defend me, and it turned into a huge argument. He and I ended up leaving for the weekend. When we came back, O still called me her brother. So I told her if she kept doing it, I'd ignore her, and I've been doing exactly that for the last few days. Now she's mad. My mom says I'm being dramatic, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm overreacting. So, AITA for ignoring her. Stories number 49. I faked liking sparkling water for 3 years and now I'm trapped. I'm 30 now, but this started when I was around 27, during a phase where I was trying really hard to be one of those put-together adults who meal prep, drink sparkling water, and have plants that aren't just dying slowly in the corner. So I bought a 12-pack of LaCroix because, that's what the cool, healthy people were drinking. First sip. It tasted like someone whispered the word fruit into a cup of TV static. Absolutely disgusting. But I had already posted it on my Instagram story with the caption, "New addiction LOL." And that was the beginning of my downfall. Friends started bringing LaCroix over when they visited. Co-workers stocked it in the office fridge, because I liked it. My girlfriend, now fiancée, thought it was cute how into sparkling water I was, so she bought me a SodaStream for Christmas. Now I'm in too deep. I've become the guy who nods thoughtfully while drinking what is essentially spicy sadness. I have flavors in my fridge with names like Pamplemousse and Limoncello, and I pretend like I can tell the difference. I can't. It all tastes like carbonated regret. Sometimes I just want a normal drink. But if I ever open a Gatorade, someone will say, "Whoa, no LaCroix today," and I'll just fake laugh like, gotta switch it up. Meanwhile my soul is quietly screaming. Anyway, if you're young and reading this, never lie about your beverages. That stuff will haunt you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Stories number 50. Do some quiet men really like listening to girls yap? Just wondering because I'm just starting a relationship, 4 months in, and it's going well, but sometimes I wonder if he is just trying to appease me. I love talking and having a good conversation, and we have great talks, but he's definitely quieter than I am. He will just listen to me talk about my day, giving his thoughts. I ask if I'm talking too much, and he just says, "No, I like listening to you talk." If I apologize for talking too much, he firmly tells me not to be sorry. He will tell other people, "She talks, I listen." Is this a dynamic that really works for you guys? Or does he just say this stuff to appease, or because of love googles? I'd love to hear from other quiet guys. Update, so I had no idea this would get so much attention. I've read nearly all your comments and a lot of them make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Seems the general consensus is that most of y'all love yappers. For everyone who said, "Why don't you trust him, why are you asking Reddit?" The truth is you guys are totally right. He's very kind and thoughtful, and has never given me reason to doubt him. The truth is I was raised to believe that I was too loud, talk too much, and am generally too annoying. And he's the nicest guy I've ever dated by far. I have to start just accepting that it's not wrong for a guy to be nice to me. For everyone who asked if I ask him questions, absolutely. I like hearing about his life too, and his interests. He just doesn't have as much to say as I do. Stories number 51. AIO for my girlfriend showing up to my family funeral viewing unannounced. My girlfriend of going on 5 months showed up to my aunt's viewing unannounced and sat in the parking lot to see if I could see you for a second, when it seems to me she simply wanted to see if I was actually there. She was not invited, knew absolutely no one there, and when I was like, "You did what?" she gaslit me. Talking about how it wasn't like that and how she was at the parking lot connected to the funeral homes next door. I personally would never show up to a significant other's family's viewing WO being invited, and not to simply sit in the parking lot. She had been sitting there for a while and I didn't know. I just want exterior opinions. How would you handle this? Am I overreacting?